Chapter 633. As soon as these words came out, everyone's face changed a bit. So they were likely to participate in the competition between the three colleges? This time, you have surpassed the children of the aristocratic families in the ancient ruins. Therefore, during this time, you have been in the limelight, and the name of Kanglan College has also spread. Many cultivators have come to become students of Kanglan College. With such a big movement, some people can't hold back, so they propose to hold the college tournament in advance. A sneer appeared in Run Tianxiong's eyes. He knew very well what those people were thinking. However, among the three colleges, Lingyin College and Beihai College were in the same boat. Even if he raised an objection, it would have no effect. This time, the college tournament will be held in Lingyin College. I'm going to let you participate. What do you think? Ren Tianxiong's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. In the entire Kanglan College, the strength of the students in the special enrollment class was undoubtedly the strongest. If they wanted to get good results in the college tournament, they naturally had to be sent. Gong Xiaoqing and the others looked at each other. They had no reason to refuse. Being conservative would only lead to stagnation. If they could go to Lingyin College and see more powerful cultivators, it would be of great help to them. Lingyin College was now so strong. Presumably, they would be able to get some pointers from the cultivation methods of the Lingyin College. If they were able to obtain a good ranking in the inter-academy competition, their reputation would soar. Every time the inter-school tournament was held, some cultivators would be able to make a name for themselves. Once they were ranked, their status would rise, and some forces would even extend an olive branch to them. Therefore, the qualification to participate in the college tournament was something that many students were looking forward to. Originally, there were still 2 years before the college tournament. They only felt that their time was not coincidental. They did not expect that the tournament would be held in advance. This was simply a pie in the sky. Bailey Hongzhuang also wanted to see the other 2 colleges in addition to Kanglan College. Recently, she had been practicing in seclusion and had no opponents. If she could meet a comparable opponent in the college tournament, she was also looking forward to it. We are willing. Everyone answered together. Listening to everyone's answer, a gratified smile appeared on Run Tianxiong's face. I hope you can get good results in this college tournament. Everyone's expression was faintly filled with excitement. The inter-academy competition was a very big platform, and everyone's attention was on it. Huan Chuyu, who had been silent, also said at this moment, in this college tournament, in addition to the martial arts tournament, there is also an alchemy tournament. Qin Yue, prepare for the alchemy tournament. Lu Qingyue nodded. Since she came back from the ruins, she had made her future goals. She decided to put all her energy into refining pills and concentrate on her Tao. Her future achievements would also be better. Everyone, don't just be happy. Our college has been in the limelight for a while. Lingyin College and Beihai College suddenly proposed a college tournament. It is very likely that they will target us. You have to be mentally prepared. Chapter 634. As the voice of Huan Chuyu fell, everyone's face was a little more dignified. They also understood the meaning of Huan Chuyu. The possibility of a banquet at Hongmen was not small. They really should not be too optimistic. We understand. Everyone nodded. They would be mentally prepared. Although they did not know what the plans of Lingyin College and Beihai College were, they could only take one step at a time. Seeing that everyone had already understood, Huan Chuyu nodded with relief. What he was most worried about was that the students would participate in the tournament in high spirits only to have their self-confidence destroyed. This kind of thing had happened before. As a cultivator, self-confidence was extremely important. If their self-confidence was destroyed and they questioned the path they were taking, then the situation would be terrible. Go back and prepare. In 3 days, you will leave for the Qing dynasty. Yes, everyone left the principal's office, but their mood was very complicated. Everyone was pondering, not knowing what would happen next. In my opinion, Lingyin College and Beihai College must be jealous of us, so they want to hold this tournament to dampen our spirit. Xia Jiqing said. Dongfang Yu nodded slightly. Among the 3 colleges, Lingyin College and Beihai College have joined forces. Naturally, they want to crush our college. We have to be more careful. Since they suddenly proposed a tournament, they must have the confidence to win. Gong Xiaoqing's face was slightly heavy. The challenge this time is very big. To put it bluntly, Lingyin College and Beihai College just did not want to see Kinglan College in the limelight, so they wanted to crush them in the tournament. As a result, the arrogance of Kinglan College would be suppressed, and many cultivators would turn to their arms. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. Since we have no other choice, then let's just boldly walk over and deal with whatever comes our way. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile, and her bright phoenix eyes flashed with confidence. For this kind of thing, it was useless to worry too much. In the end, it was only the students of the two colleges that were competing with them. If it was a fair fight, if they lost, then it was their own skill that was not as good as others. But if the other party used dirty tricks, once she found out, she would definitely not let the other party be happy. After hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the people who were originally nervous suddenly relaxed a little. Indeed, it was useless to worry now. It was better to work hard to improve their strength in the process. When the time came, they would have more confidence. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the house and began to prepare some things that might be needed at that time. The last time she bought a lot of herbs from Ji Wenbin, she took the opportunity to prepare some things. Some things, although they were not used on ordinary days, they could play a decisive role. Just like how they dealt with Yi Huqing before, it was better to be prepared. In the remaining 2 days, Bailey Hongzhuang practiced in the cultivation tower. After this period of retreat, she was not far from breaking through to the second level of the Red Realm. Since she was going to the Qing dynasty later, she would break through to the second level of the Red Realm as soon as possible. The more strength she had, the more confident she would be. Chapter 635. 3 days later, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others gathered at the gate of the college. When the students of the ordinary class saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others packing their bags and preparing to leave, their eyes were filled with envy. This was the difference between the students of the ordinary class and the students of the special enrollment class. They could only watch the students of the special enrollment class go out every day, while they could only practice day after day in the college. The students of the ordinary class needed to practice in the college for a year before they could start to go out and take on tasks. I heard that the students of the special enrollment class are going to Lingyin College to participate in the college tournament. I also heard that the college tournament was suddenly brought forward. If they can get good results in the tournament, they will be famous in the future. I thought that the college tournament would be held 2 years later. I thought that I still had time, but now it is suddenly brought forward. It is a pity. Everyone was either envious or regretful, but they all hoped that the students of the special enrollment class could get good results. After all, they were all students of the Kinglan College. If the students of the Kinglan College achieved good results in the college tournament, as a member of the Kinglan College, they would feel proud. Since everyone is ready, let's go. Huan Chuyu, as the leader of the team, was responsible for leading the students to the Qing dynasty. Liu Huayan and Fu Hongbo, as the mentors of the special enrollment class, naturally needed to go with them. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others nodded slightly. The distance to the Qing dynasty was not close, so they did not have much time. You go first, we will follow behind, Liu Huayan said. Although this time they were not practicing, letting all the students go by themselves could also exercise some of their abilities, and, at the same time, it would also help with the tacit understanding between them. Listening to Liu Huayan's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not surprised. They had already experienced this situation before. Along the way, without Liu Huayan and the others by their side, they were able to have a lot more freedom. The next moment, everyone stepped on the road to the Qing dynasty. It will take us at least half a month to get there. The Qing dynasty is really far. After seeing the vice principal and the 2 mentors leave, Bai Junyu also opened his mouth. He had always been a talkative person. Making him quiet was the most difficult thing to do. The strength of the Qing dynasty is much stronger than the surrounding countries, such as Fengbo. It is a real big country with a huge territory. Even if we rush for half a month, we will only reach the border of the Qing dynasty. It will take a full month to reach the imperial city. Dong Fengyu raised a finger, and looked at the crowd. Ah, then it will take us 2 months just to come and go. Xia Jiqing was speechless. She had never been to a place that was too far away since she was a child. The Qing dynasty was probably the farthest place she had ever been to. Lu Qingyue smiled and nodded. The Qing dynasty is vast and far from our college. The same is true for Beihai College. Among the 3 colleges, Lingyin College is in the center. It is precisely because the journey is so long that the inter-academy competition is held once every 5 years, Gong Xiaoqing said. Chapter 636. Dongfang shook his head slightly. That's not the case. Then what is it? There's a rule in the inter-academy competition. Every time, whichever academy comes out on top will be the next inter-academy competition held in that academy, Dongfang explained. So, the last college tournament was won by Lingyin College? Xia Jiqing frowned. Although she had not been to Lingyin College, she had a faint feeling of resistance to it. Dongfang Yu and Gong Xiaoqing looked at each other, and there was a little helplessness between their expressions. Not only this time, but also the last time Lingyin College won. It is precisely because of this that Kanglin College has been suppressed for 10 years. At the beginning, the strength of Kanglin College was stronger than Lingyin College and Beihai College. Gong Xiaoqing's eyes flashed with a touch of heaviness. We have a great responsibility in this tournament. If we lose again, then Lingyin College will have won 3 times in a row. Then, the reputation of our college, which had slightly improved because of the relics, will fall back to the bottom. In any case, we must do our best this time. Gong Xiaoqing's handsome and cold face was full of seriousness and determination. He had an indescribable sense of belonging to Kanglin College. Therefore, he did not want to see Kanglin College fall into such a situation. Hearing this, everyone nodded. As a member of Kanglin College, they would do their best for Kanglin College. However, in addition to us, there is also Beihai College. Do the students of Beihai College have no chance of winning? Bai Junyu thought. Since it was the 3 major colleges, there must be competition between them. Why did Gong Xiaoqing say that it was only a competition between them and Lingyin College? Beihai College and Lingyin College have already formed an alliance, so the current situation is that they have joined forces to deal with us. At the beginning, the principal had a dispute with the principal of Lingyin College because of the Qing dynasty. If Kanglin College loses this time, then the principal will have to admit that the principal of Lingyin College is right. As soon as these words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others suddenly understood. They did not expect there to be such a story in the middle. At the thought of this, everyone only felt that the burden on their bodies had become heavier. If they were to lose this time, then the principal would lose all face and would be forced to give up on the beliefs that he had upheld for so many years. Damn the principal of Lingyin College. I haven't even seen him, and I already feel that he is an annoying guy, Xia Jiqing said angrily. In her eyes, although she hadn't spent much time with the principal, she firmly believed that the principal was an excellent principal. As a member of Songlan School, how could they let their principal bow to another principal? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with a complicated light. Now it seemed that they could only win this inter-academy competition. Master, in my opinion, this time Lingyin College and Beihai College will definitely try to make you lose. This is not a small problem. Xiaohei sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Lingyin College will win this round, so they will definitely put in a lot of money. Chapter 637. Bailey Hongzhuang and her group of 8 people rushed to the Qing dynasty without stopping. As cultivators, their energy and endurance were much stronger than ordinary people. As a result, their speed would be slightly faster than the others. Finally, after half a month of rushing, everyone arrived at the border city of the Qing dynasty, Longguang City. Everyone walked on the streets of Longguang City. As a border city, there was no sense of depression here. On the contrary, it was very lively. People came and went, and the trade was even more prosperous. As soon as they entered the city, everyone's faces showed a smile, and the sense of fatigue on their bodies seemed to be reduced. We've been resting in the forest for the past 2 days and are covered in dust. Now that we've finally arrived at the city, let's have a meal first and then find an inn to rest in. What do you think? Cui Haoyin suggested. In the past few days, they had been eating dry food, which was really not as good as hot food. Agreed. Everyone agreed. After rushing for so long, they were a little tired. What's more, when they were resting in the wild, they couldn't completely relax their mental strength, and they didn't dare to sleep too deeply. How could it be more comfortable than resting in an inn? Everyone's stomachs were rumbling with hunger. They only wanted to choose a good restaurant to eat in. Finally, they stopped in front of a restaurant. Along the way, they found that this restaurant was the most lively and bustling place. Let's go to this one. How about it? Shui Haoyan smiled. Good. Everyone's faces were filled with relaxed smiles. As soon as they walked into the restaurant, the smell of wine and food came to the tip of everyone's nose. Seeing that there were guests coming in, the waiter quickly greeted them. Several guests. There are no private rooms on the second floor. There are only 2 tables in the lobby. What do you think? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't care. It was just a meal. Whether it was a private room or not, it didn't matter to them. A group of 8 people, just 4 men and 4 women. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other women sat at one table, while Gong Xiaoqing and the other men sat at the next table. Not long after, the food and wine ordered by everyone was served. Looking at the signature dishes, everyone's appetite was great, and they immediately began to eat. As the fish entered her mouth, Xia Jiqing happily narrowed her eyes. After eating so many days of dry food, now I can finally eat a hot meal. It's really happy. Looking at Xia Jiqing's exaggerated appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but smile. Don't worry, now that we have arrived in the Qing dynasty, you won't be hungry all the way. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. The border between the 2 countries was always filled with endless yellow sand, and there were no cities or towns. However, once they reached the kingdom, it would be a different story. Along the way to the Qing dynasty's imperial city, there should be many people, which was much better than before. Xia Jiqing nodded. That's good. I haven't bathed for a few days. My body is also uncomfortable. Just as everyone was chatting happily, suddenly, a few young cultivators dressed in extraordinary clothes walked in with swords in their hands. They were both men and women, and their temperaments were extraordinary. It was clear that they were not ordinary people. Give us a private room, a man in a yellow robe said, his white and tender face showing a bit of arrogance. The waiter knew at a glance that these young people were not easy to deal with, and his face suddenly showed a helpless expression. Chapter 638. Hearing the waiter's reply, the man in the yellow robe frowned and looked a little unhappy. Then let's eat in the lobby. The young cultivators shifted their gazes and looked at the hall. However, when they saw that there was not a single empty spot, their faces turned grave. Dear guests, as you can see, the lobby is full, the waiter said helplessly. It was not easy to reach Longguang City. I wanted to have a good meal, but I didn't expect it to be full. I don't want to change seats. At this moment, a woman in a red dress in the crowd spoke with displeasure. The woman's appearance was extremely outstanding. Her skin was fair, her lips were red, and her teeth were white. However, the arrogance that flowed out from between her brows forcefully destroyed some of her beauty. Hearing the woman in the red dress, the man in the yellow robe's expression changed a little. He smiled ingratiatingly. Jinglin, don't worry. Even if there is no seat, I will ask them to arrange a seat. Shui Haoling, my sister is not that close to you. At this moment, a woman in a purple dress suddenly said. She looked at the man in the yellow robe with a mocking gaze. Shui Haoling's face turned ugly. Lu Jingqi always went against him. It was really troublesome. Shui Haoling, I'm hungry. Hurry up and deal with it, Lu Jinglin said casually. I understand. Shui Haoling smiled and nodded. He turned to look at the waiter and said, Did you hear that? No matter what, you must make an empty table for me. Otherwise, I will tear down your restaurant. The waiter's face turned ugly instantly. He quickly said, Dear guest, I really have no choice. The other guests have not eaten well. I can't drive them away by force, right? I don't care. I only want to see the result. Shui Haoling looked arrogant. He did not need to do such a small thing. He took out a bag of money and put it on the counter. He said, As long as you do it well, this is all yours." However, the waiter's expression did not change. "Sir, this is not how our business is run. If we start with this, who would be willing to come to our restaurant to eat in the future?" The people who were eating in the hall looked at Shui Haoling and the others who were at the door. They had seen domineering people before, but Shui Haoling's behavior was really disgusting. Another bunch of young masters. Nothing good ever happens when these young masters appear. Aren't they just relying on their family's strength to throw their weight around outside? It's as if they're the best. How annoying. It's best to stay away from this kind of guy. Whoever provokes him will be unlucky. Everyone discussed in low voices. As ordinary people, they had seen many similar second-generation young masters. Xia Jiqing frowned. These people are too unreasonable. Zhang Yinfo nodded. Indeed, looking at their clothes, they should be cultivators. So many cultivators gathered together. Looking at their travel-worn appearance, they should not be natives of Longguang City. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Shui Haoling and the others faintly. Zhang Yinfeng's words made her have some guesses. It shouldn't be so coincidental. After thinking for a while, she continued to eat. She had never liked to meddle in other people's business. Chapter 639. Seeing the waiter's hesitant look, Shui Haoling was also a little angry. "It seems that you won't know how to do things properly if you don't learn a lesson." As his voice fell, the waiter's face turned white. These people were cultivators, and he was just an ordinary person. How could he be their opponent? At this time, a man in a black robe who was with Shui Haoling slowly said, "Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Why don't you just drive away 2 tables?" The man's face was cold, and there was a little impatience between his eyes. Apparently, he was tired of the dispute between Shui Haoling and the waiter. Hearing this, Shui Haoling nodded again and again. His respect for the man in the black robe could be vaguely seen. Lu Jingqi's face was full of smiles. Xiaolan Mei is right. Why don't we just drive them away? The next moment, Shui Haoling and the others walked into the lobby together. Although the waiter wanted to stop them, he did not have the courage. After all, these people were people he could not afford to offend. Shui Haoling and the others' eyes swept across the lobby. The people who were eating noticed Shui Haoling and the others' eyes, and their faces became ugly. They just did not know who would be the unlucky one. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were still eating. The eyes of Shui Haoling and the others were not a threat to them. Lu Jingqi's eyes fell on a purple figure because she found that the woman was wearing the same clothes as her. "Sister, look at that table." Lu Jingqi pulled Lu Jinglin and pointed to the place where Xia Jiqing was sitting. Lu Jinglin's eyes swept and suddenly understood Lu Jingqi's plan. Her sister never liked others to have the same things as her. "Shui Haoling, let's sit at that table," Lu Jinglin said. Looking in the direction Lu Jinglin pointed, Shui Haoling found that there were 4 women sitting at the table. Originally, in his opinion, it was very inappropriate to drive the women away. It was suspected of bullying the weak. However, he had been in love with Lu Jinglin for a long time. If Lu Jinglin asked him to do something, he would naturally not refuse. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others sympathetically. They were really unlucky. Bailey Hongzhuang had her back to Shui Haoling and the others, but she knew what had happened after she felt the sympathetic gazes of the crowd. "Hongzhuang, they're coming towards us." There was a touch of anger on Xia Jiqing's face. There were so many people who didn't look for him, but he looked for them. Didn't he think that the 4 of them were easy to bully? At this moment, Shui Haoling's voice rang out behind Bailey Hongzhuang. "We want to use this table. You can leave. I'll pay for the food and drinks for you." Shui Haoling looked arrogant, but when he saw Lu Qingyue opposite Bailey Hongzhuang, his eyes couldn't help but change a bit. Such a beauty, even more beautiful than Lu Jinglin. This temperament, this appearance, she was simply the goddess in every man's heart. Lu Jinglin also noticed this, and her face couldn't help but turn ugly. Her appearance had always been praised, and now there was a woman who was more beautiful than her. "Oh, it's really generous." Xia Jiqing sneered and stood up directly. "Why should we leave?" Shui Haoling and the others' eyes lit up again. Although the appearance of the woman in the purple dress was not as beautiful as the woman in the hibiscus dress, she was also delicate and smart. Chapter 640. What a big tone! Zhang Yunfeng also stood up and looked at Lu Jingqi unkindly. You are not the only cultivators here. In the next moment, Zhang Yunfeng took out her sword and slammed it on the table. At the same time, Gong Shaoqing and the others at the next table also stood up. They did not like to cause trouble, but since trouble came knocking on their door, they would not back down even half a step. Seeing Gong Shaoqing and the others suddenly stand up, Shui Haoling and the others were stunned. They thought that the four ladies were at the same table, but they did not expect that the four men at the next table were also together. In this way, it was troublesome. Lu Jingqi's face turned ugly. She did not expect that she would pick out such a large group of people. I'll give you 3 seconds to get out, Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. This kind of people who relied on their strength to bully others, it was not worthwhile to give them any face. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Shui Haoling and the others' faces instantly turned ugly. Even if the other party had 8 people, they only felt that it was a little troublesome. They did not expect that the woman in white, who had her back facing them, would ask them to get out. What a big tone! Lu Jingqi snorted. What's so great about you? Why do you have to ask us to get out? We are eating here, and you ran over to ask us to leave for no reason. You have no manners at all. I'm already giving you face by asking you to get out. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold, without any warmth. Fortunately, this group of people was up against them. If it was an ordinary person, they would only be forced to leave with their tails between their legs. This was an insult. As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of Lu Jingqi and the others changed. This woman was truly sharp-tongued, making them unable to refute her. The other guests in the hall nodded after hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words. This girl was right. The slightly nervous crowd now looked curiously at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was a good show to watch. Shui Haoling and the others had picked a tough bone out of thousands of people. Just by looking at the white-clothed girl and her group, they knew that they also had extraordinary identities. After a short moment of anger, Lu Jingqi sneered and said, If you have the ability to talk to us, why don't you turn your back to us? Don't tell me you're too ugly to turn around. Lu Jingqi had always been unreasonable. So what if she was unreasonable? She was an unreasonable person. Strength was the reason. Has anyone ever seen an emperor talk reason with a beggar? However, listening to Lu Jingqi's words, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but laugh. This Lu Jingqi was really an idiot. Hongzhuang was the prettiest girl in their group, and now he was saying that Hongzhuang was too ugly to show her face. Not only Xia Jiqing, but Dongfang Yu and the others on the side couldn't help but laugh. If it was in other aspects, it would be fine, but in terms of beauty, no one could compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. In the next moment, under the stunned eyes of Lu Jingqi and the others, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly turned around. A mocking smile appeared on her gorgeous face. You? What did you just say? Hiss. Chapter 641. For a long time, Shui Haoling thought that Lu Jinglin was already an extremely beautiful woman. In the entire Beihai College, Lu Jinglin and Lu Jingqi were famous sisters, and many cultivators wanted to pursue them. However, the eyes of these sisters were extremely high. Ordinary people simply could not enter their eyes, and only special enrollment students had the opportunity to get to know them. He had long regarded Lu Jinglin as his goal. Although Lu Jinglin was arrogant, at least her words were not too excessive. In his opinion, beautiful and powerful women had the capital to be arrogant. As for Lu Jingqi, she could cause a lot of trouble, and her sharp mouth was simply unforgiving. Therefore, between these two sisters, he did not hesitate to regard Lu Jinglin as his goal. Now, the students of the entire Beihai College knew that Lu Jinglin was his goal, and they were very close, so he had been somewhat proud. Unexpectedly, none of the 4 women in front of him was worse than Lu Jinglin, especially the woman in white and the woman in the hibiscus dress. When Lu Jingqi saw the appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang, her eyes were instantly filled with shock, and her face turned into the color of a pig's liver. She wanted to use this opportunity to ridicule the woman in white, but she did not think that she was simply looking for abuse. No matter how good she was at arguing, she couldn't answer the woman in white's rhetorical question. Lu Jingqi opened her mouth but did not know what to say, and the original arrogance dissipated in an instant. The people around saw this scene and couldn't help but laugh. This was really asking for humiliation. The waiter, who was originally in a difficult position, also revealed a somewhat relieved expression. The attitude of Xue Haoling and the others really made him very angry, but because he was not a match for Xue Haoling and the others, he could only swallow his anger. Now that he saw Xue Haoling and others suffer, he naturally felt that he had vented his anger. Bailey Hongzhuang did not care what Lu Jingqi wanted to say and directly raised her finger. 3. Listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the faces of Xue Haoling and others were gloomy. The move of the woman in white was a slap in the face. If they left like this, then where would their face go? 2. Dongfang Yu and the others stood where they were without a care. In fact, the other party's provocation had also angered them. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang's actions made them feel very happy. Miss, your attitude is a bit too much. At this time, Xiao Lanmei stood up, his eyes focused on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. His cold eyes were filled with a bit of fiery color. It would be a pity if such a beauty were to cause such a ruckus that there was no turning back. Seeing Xiao Lanmei suddenly stand up, Lu Jinglin and the others had a strange look in their eyes. For Xiao Lanmei's temperament, everyone had a good understanding of him. He didn't care about ordinary things at all. Therefore, Xiao Lanmei almost never appeared in front of them. However, they didn't dare to underestimate Xiao Lanmei for even half a second. Xiao Lanmei was the strongest among them. It was because they knew Xiao Lanmei's temperament that they were shocked when they saw Xiao Lanmei suddenly stand up. Chapter 642. At the thought of this, Lu Jinglin and Lu Jingqi looked at each other. Their faces were somewhat ugly. It was indeed our fault. Why don't we bury the hatchet and make friends? Otherwise, once we start fighting, it won't be good for us. Xiao Lanmei's face was full of confidence. Although the other side had 8 people, they also had 8 people. Although it was not clear what the other side's strength was, just from looking at their age, they should be about the same. Once they started fighting, both sides would be injured, which was not a good thing. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiao Lanmei indifferently. This guy now had a sanctimonious appearance. She did not forget what he said before. This person was definitely a guy who would not be soft-hearted. As Xiao Lanmei's voice fell, the expression of Xia Jiqing and the others changed a bit. As Xiao Lanmei said, once they started fighting, the result could not be completely guaranteed. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang turned back and sat down. She actually continued to eat. Looking at this scene, Xiao Lanmei's face was slightly ugly. Lu Jingqi could not help but say, "Hey, what do you mean? Didn't this young master say that we bury the hatchet? Then I will treat it as if this matter never happened. As for friends, we have different paths, so let's forget about it." After Bailey Hongzhuang sat down, Xia Jiqing and the others also sat down heartlessly. They directly treated Xiao Lanmei and the others who were standing on the side as heir. At the beginning, Bailey Hongzhuang was their junior in the special enrollment class. Now, after the trip to the ruins, Bailey Hongzhuang had directly broken through to the innate realm. In the world of cultivation, the strong were always respected, regardless of age. It was precisely because of this that Bailey Hongzhuang had now become their leader, and for this result, none of them were the slightest bit unconvinced. Xiao Lanmei's face was a bit green. For the first time, someone chose to refuse him when he took the initiative to make friends. Moreover, it was in such a way that did not give him any face. This made him, who had always thought highly of himself, somewhat unable to stand it. Aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Senior Xiao wants to be friends with you, and you're actually unwilling? Lu Jingqi raised her voice, her eyes filled with disbelief. Do you know who we are? When Lu Jingqi said the words senior, the expressions of Gong Shaoqing and the others changed a little. Previously, they had thought that with so many young cultivators gathered together, it was very likely that they were from the academy. At this moment, when they heard Lu Jingqi's words, they were even more certain of their guess. The students of Beihai College are so arrogant outside? The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a devilish smile. Her ink-black phoenix eyes flashed with a cold light. Originally, They just wanted to have a good meal, but because of the actions of this group of people, their mood was ruined. Beihai College. The people in the lobby were stunned after hearing the name of Beihai College. Although the most famous college in the Qing dynasty was Lingyin College, the name of Beihai College was still well known to them. It was a gathering place for geniuses, and these young people were actually from Beihai College. Their identity was extraordinary. Chapter 643. The students of Beihai College were not surprised that the woman in white had guessed their identity. What surprised them the most was that the woman in white had guessed their identity and still had such an attitude. "We are not ordinary students of Beihai College," Lu Jingqi emphasized. In the eyes of ordinary people, the students of Beihai College were already amazing people. However, as special enrollment students, their future was even brighter. They were far from being comparable to other students of Beihai College. "Aren't you just special enrollment students? Do you really need to act like this?" Xia Jiqing sneered. For Lu Jingqi, she was the one who was most unpleasant to the eye. Previously, Lu Jingqi pointed at them, and this woman was wearing the same dress as her. She was also very proud of being able to become a special enrollment student of Kanglin College. However, she was far less arrogant than Lu Jingqi. Hearing this, Lu Jingqi was even more angry. Who are these people? How dare they act like this? So what if we are arrogant? Who are you? I think you don't know the power of our Beihai College's special enrollment students. With Lu Jingqi's voice falling, the special enrollment students of Beihai College looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with an unkind expression. As special enrollment students, they had always been respected by everyone. They had never been provoked like this before. This time, they could not swallow it. It seems that they are going to fight. They are the special enrollment students of Beihai College. I don't know the identity of the woman in white and the others. They are facing them without the slightest fear. If they really start fighting, it'll be a good show. Everyone was talking about it. This kind of good show was rare on weekdays. They also wanted to know how powerful the special enrollment students of Beihai College were. Gong Xiaoqing and the others also took out their weapons. The competition between cultivators had always been real. They had intended to ignore them, but Lu Jingqi had been looking for trouble. If they continued to endure, wouldn't it weaken the reputation of their college? What's more, the students of Beihai College were their opponents. They did not need to offend them. Anyway, they were originally standing in different camps. Special enrollment students of Kanglin College. Gong Xiaoqing slowly said. When these words came out, Xiao Lanmei and the others were stunned. No matter how they thought about it, they did not think that the woman in white and the others turned out to be special enrollment students of Kanglin College. This was truly a case of enemies meeting on a narrow road. They were all rushing from the school to Lingyin College, but they did not expect to meet each other at the border of the Qing dynasty. Kanglin College. The onlookers were dumbfounded. The Kanglin College was also famous and didn't lose to the Beichin College. They didn't expect the students of the two colleges to collide. No wonder they refused to give way to each other and were at loggerheads with each other. It turned out that they represented two different academies. Xiao Lanmei finally understood why Bailey Hongzhuang had such an attitude towards him. It turned out that the other party had already seen through their identity. Now, although the relationship between Beihai College and Kanglin College had not completely fallen out, they also understood the origin of the grievances. Thinking of this, Xiao Lanmei's face looked better. Who was I? It turns out to be a student of the Azure Water School. Chapter 644. Kanglin College had not achieved good results in the last two college tournaments. Although this time they had made a name for themselves in the ancient ruins, this college tournament was specially prepared for them. Once Kanglin College failed again, they would not be able to raise their heads in front of Lingyin College. Beihai College had joined forces with Lingyin College a few years ago. If Kanglin College failed, it would be good for them. I was wondering who was so great. It turned out to be the specially enrolled students of Kanglin College who had not achieved good results for 2 consecutive years. Lu Jinglin's face was filled with a smug smile, but her dark almond eyes flashed with jealousy. For a long time, Xiao Lanmei had not paid much attention to her. The woman in front of her was just the first time they met, but Xiao Lanmei treated her differently. How could she not be angry? Thinking of this, Lu Jinglin naturally tried her best to laugh at Bailey Hongzhuang. She wanted the other party to not be able to raise their heads. The faces of Gong Xiaoqing and the others changed a bit. Lu Jinglin's words were clearly mocking them. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, her expression cold and indifferent. As a cultivator, even if you fail, you can't lose your courage. Compared to those who only know how to flatter and curry favor with those in power, you don't know how much better. Well said. Xia Jiqing clapped her hands. You are just the dogs of Lingyin College. I don't know what you are so proud of. You are looking for death. Lu Jinglin immediately took out her weapon and pointed it at Xia Jiqing. Xia Jiqing was not afraid. She took out her whip and looked at Lu Jinglin without fear. If you have the guts, then do it. Don't just talk nonsense. I don't have the patience. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also took out their weapons. The two sides had reached this point. There was no solution other than fighting. If you have the ability, let's go out and fight. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold. They had a large number of people. If they fought in this restaurant, they would undoubtedly hurt others. It was better to go out and fight. Let's fight. Lu Jingqi shouted angrily. She had never been so angry in her life. She wanted to see how strong this woman was. In the next moment, everyone left the restaurant together. Before leaving, Bailey Hongzhuang paid for the food and drinks. Even though the waiter tried his best to refuse, she still paid. The waiter was extremely grateful. Bailey Hongzhuang had not only solved a huge problem for him, she had also prevented the restaurant from being damaged. He rarely saw such a good person. Not only the attendant, but the other people in the hall also nodded after seeing this scene. Although I don't know how strong the two colleges are, I think the students of the Kingland College are much better than the students of the Beihai College. It was unknown who sighed with emotion, but it drew everyone's approval. Yes, the students of Kingland College are far better than Beihai College in both appearance and character. The students of Beihai College are just a group of rich kids who rely on a little talent. This kind of person, it is better to have no talent. In the future, when they have strength, they will only harm others. Outside the restaurant, Xue Haoling and the others heard the discussion of the crowd. Their faces suddenly became very ugly. Chapter 645. As soon as they walked out of the restaurant, the cultivators of the two schools immediately got into formation. They wanted to use their own strength to let the other side understand that they had to pay a huge price for offending them. Lu Jingqi directly set Bailey Hongzhuang as her target. However, before she could reach Bailey Hongzhuang, Xia Jiqing had already stopped her. Your opponent is me. Seeing Xia Jiqing, Lu Jingqi's eyes showed a hint of disgust. This woman wearing the same clothes as her. She felt extremely disgusted. I will beat you to a pulp. Lu Jingqi said angrily. If you have the ability, then do it. There is no point in talking so much nonsense. For Lu Jingqi's words, Xia Jiqing was not afraid. This woman's temper was greater than her strength. She had long been dissatisfied and just wanted to teach her a lesson. Lu Jinglin came in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. You will regret what you have just done. For this woman who could make Xiao Lanmei look at her differently, no matter what, she absolutely could not let her go. Bailey Hongzhuang originally wanted to treat Xiao Lanmei as an opponent. After all, she was the strongest in the team and should also be the strongest of the other side. She did not expect Lu Jinglin to come to her door. However, she did not care. It was the same no matter who she beat. The battle broke out in an instant. Everyone's spirits surged and directly faced their opponents. Vigorous elemental energy undulations spread out in the street, and the surrounding air seemed to have become more oppressive in an instant. The surrounding peddlers all left after seeing this scene. If they were implicated, they wouldn't be able to do anything even if they cried for help. Bailey Hongzhuang directly raised her hand, and the Lu Guang sword appeared in her hand. She moved like a ghost, and in the blink of an eye, she was behind Lu Jinglin. Lu Jinglin's reaction was also very fast. As a special enrollment student of the Tsanglan College, she naturally had some skills. Ding, ding, ding. The two swords collided and burst into sparks. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't hold back either. She hadn't had an opponent for a long time. Now that she had a good fight, she also felt happy. However, it was clear that Lu Jinglin was not the opponent that Bailey Hongzhuang needed, because in just a short exchange of blows, Lu Jinglin had already shown signs of defeat. Lu Jinglin never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength would be so strong. Just by exchanging blows, the other party's strength gave her a lot of pressure. Every time she responded, she had to rely on origin energy to increase her strength. On the other hand, her opponent had a relaxed expression, as if he didn't use any strength at all. Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang's palm shot out, and Lu Jinglin's body flew out directly. Even though she had reacted quickly, she still fell to the ground. Chi! Lu Jinglin couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood as her face turned pale. Seeing this, the cultivators of Beihai College were stunned. They had just exchanged blows, and Lu Jinglin was already seriously injured. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. This beautiful woman, was her strength so strong? Sister. Seeing that Lu Jinglin was injured, Lu Jingqi also did not want to continue fighting and quickly rushed to Lu Jinglin's side. Chapter 646. The next moment, Xia Jiqing's sword directly slashed. Her youthful and pretty face evoked a playful smile. She put away the sword, crossed her arms around her chest, and smiled at Lu Jingqi, who was leaving. This kind of woman should be taught a lesson. Otherwise, she would not learn from her mistakes. Lu Jingqi did not notice what had happened, but quickly came to Lu Jinglin's side. Sister, how are you? She only thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was an empty shell, but she did not think that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was so strong. It was just a face-to-face effort, but her sister was injured and vomited blood. Lu Jinglin covered her chest. The palm of the woman in white fell solidly on her chest. She only felt a burning pain in her internal organs, as if they were about to be displaced. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, after seeing Lu Jingqi approaching her, Lu Jinglin could not help but widen her eyes and say, "Jingqi, cough, cough." Lu Jinglin had just vomited blood and choked when she spoke. She was stunned for a long time and could not say anything. At the same time, other people's eyes also fell on Lu Jingqi. She herself was fine, but her perfectly fine clothes had been ripped off. "Sister, are you okay?" Lu Jingqi patted Lu Jinglin's back. Although her personality was not good, she was still very concerned about her sister. She caught a glimpse of purple, and Lu Jingqi could not help but have some doubts. Her eyes turned slightly, and when she saw the purple clothes that fell on the ground, her eyes could not help but show a touch of doubt. This purple clothes, how could it be on the ground? And it was so familiar? Lu Jingqi could not help but be startled. When she saw Xia Jiqing not far away looking at her with her clothes intact, her face suddenly changed. She looked down and found that her outer clothes had been torn off, leaving only her inner clothes. At the same time, Lu Jinglin's breath came back. "Jingqi, your clothes." "Ah!" A high-decibel sharp cry broke out on the street. Lu Jingqi was so angry that she stomped her feet, but she was also ashamed and annoyed. They were fighting on the street, and the movement was great. Many people around came to watch. Wouldn't she be seen by everyone? Lu Jingqi quickly took out a piece of clothes from her chinquin bag and put it on. Then she looked at Xia Jiqing angrily. "You are too despicable." Xia Jiqing shrugged innocently. "Anything can happen in a fight, you should understand." Lu Jingqi's face was livid. She knew that Xia Jiqing was quibbling, but she had no way. "You wait, I will definitely get my revenge." As soon as her voice fell, Lu Jingqi did not care about the crowd and quickly ran away. She had lost all her face. How could she continue to stay here? Seeing Lu Jingqi and Lu Jingqi, Lu Jingqi, 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 and Jingqi. Jingqi, 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 Jingqi of you, Jingqi, Jingqi, Chi Chi Chi, Jingqi, 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 Jingqi Chi, Jingqi, Jingqi, and of them, Jingqi. Anytime, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips evoked an enchanting smile. Jiqing's sword was really amazing. No one would have thought that this competition would end in such a way. Don't be too proud. Chapter 647. If you have the ability, don't leave. Let's continue to fight. Xia Jiqing's face was full of a proud smile. She thought that the special enrollment students of Beihai College were strong, but they were just a group of guys who only knew how to talk. Xiao Lanmei looked deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang, but did not speak, and left with the team of Beihai College. Oh, I thought it was great. Xia Jiqing twisted her body. Her face was full of excitement. Lu Jingqi's expression was so wonderful. I didn't expect it to be so funny. Huh. Ha. Zhang Yinfeng could not help but laugh. Jiqing, you are really a genius. I don't know how you came up with this idea. It was just a flash of inspiration, a stroke of genius. Xia Jiqing raised her eyebrows, looking like a clown. This time, Lu Jingqi must hate you. Lu Qinhua sighed. Xia Jiqing shrugged indifferently. If she hates me, then she hates me. Anyway, she and I are destined to be enemies. In this regard, everyone nodded. The hatred of the students of Beihai College was not something they needed to care about. Even if they did not offend them now, when they arrived at Lingyin College, they would still be opponents. Originally, this was an opportunity to test their strength. Gong Xiaoqing said slowly. Xiao Lanmei's strength is not simple. He and Xiao Lanmei had only fought for a short time, but he could feel that Xiao Lanmei had not used his full strength. He should have deliberately held back. Listening to Gong Xiaoqing's words, everyone's face was slightly dignified. Beihai College was one of the 3 major colleges. The strength of its special enrollment students would naturally not be bad. Even if we test them now, I am afraid that we will not be able to find out their true strength. They will definitely hide something, just as we will keep some cards in our hands. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with wisdom and thought. The current fight was nothing more than a battle of personal feelings, unless they could force the cultivators of Beihai College to the last step. However, the current situation was certainly impossible. She believed that what was happening now was not only known to them, but also to the mentors of the 2 colleges. As long as the mentors were present, they would not be able to find out the true strength of the other side. Everyone nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang's words made sense. You are right, but we also have some understanding of the team of Beihai College. It is the harvest of this meal. Zhang Yinfeng walked beside Xia Jiqing and couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. Jiqing, your previous move was really satisfying, haha. Xia Jiqing chuckled and nodded. That Lu Jingqi is really annoying. Now that I have something on her, I want to see how she can be so arrogant in front of me next time. Everyone is tired. Let's find an inn to rest first. Dongfeng Yu suggested. All right. After walking for a short distance, they casually found an inn and walked in. Dear guests, are you here to stay? The shopkeeper welcomed them with a smile. Although their business had always been good in this border city, they didn't expect to have 2 big waves of customers today. In that case, their inn would be filled to the brim. Dongfeng Yu nodded. 8 guest rooms. Do you have any? Chapter 648. Everyone had a comfortable smile on their faces. Today, they could finally have a good rest. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were preparing to go upstairs, a figure appeared on the 2nd floor. When the figure saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, it was as if he had seen a ghost. He quickly said, "Why are you here?" Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also had a strange look on their faces. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. This phrase was really not wrong at all. They had just had a fight with the cultivators of Beihai College, and now they were meeting again? Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Are you blind? We came here, naturally, to stay in the inn. Are we here to see you? Xia Jiqing sneered. I think you guys just want to stay in the same inn as us on purpose. Lu Jingqi's face was pale. Since she was a child, she had never been so humiliated like today. Xia Jiqing and the others had followed her. Wasn't this deliberately embarrassing her? You think too much. We are not that interested in you. Xia Jiqing looked at Lu Jingqi with disgust. This Lu Jingqi really thought that she was someone important? We have booked this inn. You can go somewhere else. While Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing were arguing, Xiao Lanmei and the others also came out of the house. When they saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also appear here, their faces could not help but change a little. What was going on? The shopkeeper did not tell us that you have booked the inn. If you do not want to live with us, you can just move out. Zhang Yinfeng said coldly. Gong Xiaoqing's cold face also showed a touch of impatience. He said, "Take us to the room." The students of Beihai College were a group of troublemakers, and he had no intention of continuing to argue with them. Since no matter how they argued, they could not come to a conclusion, it was better to go back and rest. When they arrived at Lingyin College, it would not be too late to make a move. The shopkeeper's expression was a little awkward. He thought that he was lucky today to have received 2 good orders. He didn't expect that these 2 groups of people were like fire and water. Yes, the shopkeeper replied and immediately led Bailey Hongzhuang and the others forward. However, Lu Jingqi blocked the shopkeeper's way. "I said we will book this in today. Go somewhere else." Shui Oling directly took out a money bag and placed it in the shopkeeper's hand. "Did you hear that? We'll book this in of yours. Chase them out." Seeing this, the shopkeeper also had a difficult expression on his face. "Sir, you didn't mention this before. This is really difficult for this little one." The youths of these 2 teams were obviously not ordinary people. If he accidentally offended them, he would be the unlucky one in the future. "Shui Haolang, why do you only know this move?" Bai Junyu sneered. This guy only knew how to use money to make things difficult for the waiters. Didn't he have any other skills? "Yes, Shui Haolang, you're also a cultivator of Beihai College. You only know how to make things difficult for the shopkeeper and the waiters. Aren't you too useless?" When these words came out, Shui Haolang's face was pale. How could he be such a person? Chapter 649. I am rich. What can you do about it? Shui Haolang directly said such domineering words in anger. In this world, money was an extremely important thing. In this kind of thing, it was natural to compete with financial resources. After hearing Shui Haolang's words, Lu Jingqi's face also showed a smile. These words were domineering. They were rich. Xiao Lanmei's face showed a touch of impatience. It was a waste of time to argue about this kind of thing. He couldn't help but say, "It's just one night. It doesn't matter if we stay in the same inn." After walking from the previous restaurant, the closest inn was this one. It was precisely because of this that he believed that the cultivators of Kangling College did not deliberately follow them. What's more, their mentors were not far from them, so there would not be any problems. However, Lu Jingqi did not give up. How can that be? This time they're pestering us. If we agree, then where will the face of Beihai College go? A touch of dissatisfaction emerged in Lu Jingqi's heart. She only thought that Xiao Lanmei had taken a fancy to Bailey Hongzhuang, so he agreed to let them stay here. As a result, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't stay here any longer. "Shui Haolang, you drive them out." Hearing this, Xiao Lanmei looked at Lu Jingqi indifferently. He was too lazy to say anything and went straight back to his room. Apparently, he did not intend to waste time on this matter. Shui Haolang nodded, and another bag of money appeared in his hand. "I will give you double the price, you drive them out." The shopkeeper looked at Shui Haolang and Bailey Hongzhuang with embarrassment. This kind of thing really made him not know how to decide. If he had known earlier, he would rather not do this business today than encounter this situation. "Young master, don't make it difficult for me. I'm just a small business, ordinary people. I can't afford to offend any of you." Shui Haolang acted as if he did not hear the shopkeeper's words and said, 3 times the price." Xia Jiqing and the others looked at each other. They were speechless about Shui Haolang's rich performance. This guy wanted to use money to kill them. "Hongzhuang, why don't we change to another inn?" Zhang Yinfeng couldn't help but ask. With Shui Haolang and the others blocking the way, they wouldn't be able to get in for a while. If they continued to stay here, it would only make things difficult for the shopkeeper. Hearing Zhang Yunfeng's words, Shui Haolang and Lu Jingqi's faces were filled with pride. They wanted the other party to back off. Now that they had lost in the restaurant, it could be said that they had turned the tables in this inn. Bai Junyu and the others had ugly expressions. Encountering this kind of guy who used money to smash people, they could only respond with a speechless attitude. In fact, although they were considered wealthy, they were not extravagant people. Moreover, once they competed with Shui Haolang in terms of wealth, the price would probably rise endlessly. However, in the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang did something that shocked everyone. A bag of money also appeared in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, and she said, "Shopkeeper, we will buy this in." As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with astonishment. The faces of Xia Jiqing and the others were even more horrified. Domineering. This was real domineering. Chapter 650. Lu Qingyue, Dong Fengyu, and Gong Shaoqing looked at each other. In fact, when they first went to the Luoyuan Mountains, they had already seen the rich side of Bailey Hongzhuang. The Qi recovery pill was a very precious medicinal pill, but Bailey Hongzhuang had a lot of it. Compared to that, Shui Haoling's current spending was really nothing. Booking it in was nothing. Even if the price was several times higher, it was still not much. As soon as Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, she directly bought the entire inn. With such a comparison, they finally understood what a real rich person was. Shui Haoling and Lu Jingqi were also stunned. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would do such a thing. This woman, was she crazy? They were just staying here for one night, and she actually bought the whole inn? As a result, they, who were previously clamoring, fell into a disadvantage. What should they do? Although Shui Haoling had money, it was too wasteful for him to buy in indirectly. Suddenly, Shui Haoling's eyes were fixed on a money bag that Bailey Hongzhuang handed to the shopkeeper. The money bag was so small that it could only hold a few gold coins. Wouldn't it be a joke to buy the whole inn with such a small money bag? The Qing dynasty was a big country, and Longguang City was a border city. There was a lot of trade, and the price of this inn was much more expensive than ordinary places. It was simply impossible to buy the Credential Inn at the same price. With your little money, it's not enough to book this inn, and you want to buy it? What a joke. Shui Haoling laughed. Hearing this, Lu Jingqi's eyes also fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's money bag. Looking at the deflated appearance of the money bag, Lu Jingqi couldn't help but laugh. Ah, what a country bumpkin. You really came from a small place. With such little money, you want to buy the whole inn. Are you here to be a joke? Bailey Hongzhuang glanced coldly at Lu Jingqi. No matter what, before you really understand, I advise you not to be too proud. Otherwise, you will only be a joke. Compared to the disbelief of the practitioners of Beihai College, the practitioners of Kanglan College were full of trust in Bailey Hongzhuang. What kind of character Hongzhuang was, they knew it was impossible for her to make such a mistake. Shopkeeper, open it and take a look, Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. The shopkeeper glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang, and there was a bit of worry in his expression. Although there was a conflict between the two teams, he had a better impression of the team that came later. After all, it didn't mean he didn't want to see this girl make a joke. However, when he opened the money bag, the money, the original worry in his heart, and the original worry in his heart had disappeared in an instant. Purple gold coins. The shopkeeper laughed. Shui Haoling and Lu Jingqi were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to take out purple gold coins. No wonder the money bag was so thin, it turned out to be like this. In a flash, the faces of the two became extremely ugly. Recalling what they had said before, it was simply a slap in the face. The more proud they were before, the more embarrassed they were now. Two country bumpkins were pretending to be rich. Now they are a joke. Chapter 651. Lu Jingqi was so angry that she stomped her feet. The more she looked at Xia Jiqing, the more uncomfortable she felt. So far, she had always been at a disadvantage. What's wrong with me? Xia Jiqing shook her head proudly. Now we have bought this inn, you can go. You want to buy it, but the shopkeeper hasn't said he will sell it. Lu Jingqi looked at the shopkeeper. Since the shopkeeper was so hesitant, she believed that he would not easily sell the inn now. At this time, Bailey Hongzhuang said something to the shopkeeper, and everyone present was stunned again. Shopkeeper, I only bought your inn for one day. Tomorrow, the inn will still be yours. As soon as these words came out, the cultivators of Beihai College were instantly petrified. With so much money, it was already too much to buy the inn. Now, she only wanted to buy the inn for one day. Wasn't it too exaggerated? Could she be any more rich? Even if she had money, she wouldn't be this rich, right? She was trying to anger them to death. Shui Haoling was speechless at the moment. How could they compare? Although he had always been very generous, it was better to use this money to buy some cultivation resources. If he wasted on a fight, wouldn't his father beat him to death? The shopkeeper no longer hesitated at this moment and quickly said, "Miss, this inn is yours today. I will pack up and go out immediately." The next moment, the shopkeeper no longer cared about the reaction of Xue Haolang and the others. He directly returned the money that Xue Haolang gave them and ran down to pack up his things. In this regard, Lu Jingqi couldn't say anything. This kind of good business, only an idiot wouldn't do it. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others slowly walked to the second floor, no longer looking at Lu Jingqi and the others. Now, the outcome had been decided. Xia Jiqing looked at Lu Jingqi sarcastically. "You deserve it. If it wasn't for Lu Jingqi's trouble, they would have stayed here now." It was nothing at all. Xia Jiqing forced Hongzhuang to use a big move, and now they were going to be driven out. This was really shameful. After walking up to the second floor, Bai Junyu still couldn't hide the emotion on his face. Hongzhuang's move is really too domineering. Xia Jiqing raised her eyebrows. Hongzhuang has always been very domineering, haha. But so much money, isn't it too wasteful? Lu Qinyue frowned slightly, her eyes revealing some regret. Hearing this, the crowd couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. They had indeed vented their anger, but the one who had suffered the most was Hongzhuang. Seeing everyone's concerned gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. "Don't worry, it's nothing." Although she had spent some money, she had also made a lot of money. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the house. Xiao He and Xiao Bai proudly came in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, shook their paws, and said, "Master, do we have a reward?" Xiao He and Xiao Bai were shaking their paws, and there were two Chinquin bags hanging on their paws. One was Xue Haolang's, and the other was Lu Jingqi's. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. "Eat as much as you want." "Hooray!" Xiao He and Xiao Bai high-fived, their faces full of excitement. Xue Haolang and Lu Jingqi. These two idiots were so angry that they didn't notice that the Chinquin bags had disappeared. Chapter 652. Bailey Hongzhuang opened Xue Haolang's Chinquin bag, and the pile of golden coins directly blinded her eyes. Xue Haolang was right. He was indeed very rich, but now the money had fallen into the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. It seems that Xue Haolang's family is quite rich. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile. Money, this kind of thing, she has always been the more the better. But this guy doesn't have the courage of the master. Under the temptation of a sumptuous meal, Blackie immediately began to flatter him. In fact, Xue Haolang's Chinquin bag was really a lot of money, but this guy didn't have the domineering attitude to spend money. Although Xue Haolang usually spent money very generously, but if the price was too high, he couldn't help but take it out. Putting away the two Chinquin bags, Bailey Hongzhuang washed up and went to rest. She was going to go out again at night to buy more food and put it in the chaos ring. After all, Xiao He and Xiao Bai, these two foodies, had an amazing appetite. Lu Jingqi and the others reluctantly moved out of the inn. They only felt that they had lost face today, but they couldn't help it. In this world, there are many people who spent a lot of money, but there were very few people who would buy an entire inn in one go. For this woman in white, everyone was helpless to the extreme. This woman simply couldn't find the slightest weakness. Whether it was appearance, strength, or background, she seemed to be first class, which really made her feel an indescribable sense of frustration. Xiao Lanmei didn't care about it and walked out of the inn. It was not a big deal to change to another inn. The true competition between cultivators was based on strength and nothing else. However, this woman in white really made him a bit interested. Such a perfect woman. He was afraid that there were only a few men who would not be interested in her. Xue Haolang, do you know the specific information of the cultivators of the Kanglin College? Xiao Lanmei asked. Hearing this, Xue Haolang shook his head. Although he liked to inquire about information, he had never put the special enrollment students of the Kanglin College in his eyes, so he never inquired about their information. Now, it seemed that he had really miscalculated. If he had been able to obtain more information earlier, he would not have ended up in such a situation. When the practitioners of Beihai College checked into the new inn and Xue Haolang was about to pay, his face suddenly became ugly. He continued to grope his body, but his face became increasingly pale. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Xue Haolang, what are you doing? Lu Jingqi said impatiently. What happened before had already made her very unhappy. Now, she just wanted to find a place to rest. Unfortunately, Xue Haoling was still delaying her. My Chinkoan bag is gone, Xue Haoling said. There were quite a few treasures in his Chinkoan bag. If he lost it, his loss would be too great. As soon as Xue Haoling finished speaking, everyone's expression changed. Why don't you take a good look? Could it be that you lost it during the fight earlier? Xue Haoling shook his head. That's impossible. When I was at the inn, I took money out of my Chinkoan bag. Chapter 653. Lu Jingqi was too lazy to pay attention to Xue Haoling. She just wanted to rest and immediately went to touch her Chinkoan bag. But when he touched it, it was empty. How did my Chinkoan bag disappear? Lu Jingqi anxiously said. It must be the Kanglan College's cultivators who stole it. Lu Jinglin's face also showed a touch of worry. Then should we go and find them? Lu Jingqi nodded. It must be them. Otherwise, this Chinkoan bag would not be lost inexplicably. Xiao Lanmei looked at Lu Jingqi and others indifferently. He directly paid for the accommodation and said, You have no evidence. Even if you go, you will only be humiliating yourself. Xiao Lanmei did not pay attention to the crowd and went directly to the second floor of the inn. He had never liked trouble, but wherever Lu Jingqi was, trouble never stopped. He did not intend to continue to accompany them in their nonsense. Looking at Xiao Lanmei's action, Lu Jingqi's face became ugly. Xiao Lanmei's action obviously meant that he did not intend to pay attention to them. Sister, Lu Jingqi angrily stomped her feet. I am so angry. Lu Jinglin's eyes showed a strong sense of helplessness. Jingqi, we can only endure. If Xiao Lanmei went with them, they may have some chance of winning. But Xiao Lanmei had already made his attitude clear. It did not make any sense for them to go. Not to mention that they were not as good at talking as the woman in the white dress and the woman in the purple dress. They may not be able to beat them. Lu Jingqi also understood Lu Jinglin's meaning, but she really couldn't swallow this anger. She was really angry. I must kill them. Otherwise, it will be difficult to relieve the hatred in my heart. Xue Haoling's face was livid. He had never suffered such a big loss. This time, he had brought a lot of property. The Qing dynasty was a big country, so there would be many rare things in the imperial city. He originally intended to buy some cultivation resources or rare things in the imperial city. Now he had not even reached the imperial city, and his Chinkoan bag was already lost. What should he do? When he thought of this, he hated the cultivators of the Kanglan College to the extreme. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo stood together and looked at the two middle-aged men opposite them. The atmosphere was slightly stagnant. I did not expect that after 10 years, the Kanglan College still has not made any progress. These students also use some despicable means, cutting a woman's dress. Such means, it is shameful. On the other side, a middle-aged man in silver robes was the first to speak, and the space between his brows was filled with disdain. Mo Xinghai, your student has lost, and that's that. Don't you think you lack some magnanimity by arguing like this? Lu Huayan didn't care about the ridicule in his opponent's words. Cultivators had always only cared about success or failure. The process was not important. We can't be considered to have lost. At most, we are slightly inferior to you in terms of despicable methods, Duan Yingwu said coldly. Fu Hongbo sneered. Duan Yingwu, you have been a mentor at Beihai College for so many years, but you haven't changed at all. You think our students as students? Compared to your students who only to twos a lot attention to the college, to twos to attention. Don't tell me. You didn't hear the rumors in the streets that our Tsanglan College's students are better than yours? Chapter 654. Listening to Fu Hongbo's words, Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai's faces were ugly, and their hearts were filled with anger. They did not expect that the students of the two colleges would meet here. They had seen the scene happen nearby. The reason why they didn't stop them earlier was because they wanted to see who would emerge victorious when the students from the two academies clashed. They had always been confident that the result would be the students of Beihai College. Unexpectedly, The result was completely different from what they had imagined. The students of Kanglan College had actually suppressed them. They also understood that even if the means used by Xia Jiqing were not very bright, Bailey Hongzhuang had indeed defeated Lu Jinglin, but they did not want to lose their momentum. Lu Huaiyan's face revealed a smile and gave Fu Hongbo a meaningful glance. Fu Hongbo usually didn't speak much, but now that he had spoken, he directly made the other party speechless. Today is not a competition at all. After we reach Lingyin College, I am afraid that your pride will be gone. Duan Yingwu sneered, no longer paying attention to Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo, and left with them Mo Xinghai. They went to see the students. The performance of the students today really made them lose face. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo looked at each other, and there was a happy smile on their faces. The students of Beihai College and their mentors were too arrogant. In comparison, they felt that their students were much better. These little guys are really good today. Lu Huaiyan smiled. Duan Yingwu and the others are angry. I'm afraid they are rushing to reprimand the students. Lu Huaiyan raised his eyebrows. Should we go and see the little guys now? Fu Hongbo thought for a moment. Let them grow up by themselves. Let's go to the vice principal. It was useless for them to go to Gong Shaoqing and the others now. Was it just to praise them? Hearing this, Lu Huaiyan nodded. Well, the vice principal should have been waiting for us for a while. As the night slowly fell, Bailey Hongzhuang stood outside the window, looking at the unusually lively night scene of Longguang City, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. After 1,000 years, many places had changed. However, the bustling scene hadn't changed much. Master, shall we set off? Xiao He and Xiao Bai asked. They were waiting for their master to bring them to eat something delicious. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded when she saw how eager the two little guys were. Okay. Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the inn. After many days of rushing, Xia Jiqing and the others felt very tired and just wanted to have good rest. Bailey Hongzhuang did not call them. She was just going to buy some things and would be back soon. Walking on the street, although it was already night time, the lively scene was comparable to the daytime, and the night scene seemed to be more romantic. At Xiao He and Xiao Bai's request, Bailey Hongzhuang helped them buy a lot of things that they wanted to eat. Naturally, Baisher also wanted to eat. Today's harvest was quite rich, and Bailey Hongzhuang also let them eat. Soon, Bailey Hongzhuang came to the trading market of Longguang City. Chapter 655. The trading market was the most lively place in every city, but most of the things sold here were related to cultivation. Although most of the things in the trading market were ordinary 5th grade, if one could find some treasures, it would be a great achievement. As Bailey Hongzhuang walked into the trading market, everyone's eyes were filled with amazement when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang. It wasn't that they had never seen such a beautiful woman before, but they had never seen such a beautiful woman. Feeling the eyes of the crowd, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly. She came to the trading market on a whim. She didn't intend to come here at all. If she knew this would happen, she would have worn a black cloak, then there wouldn't be such unnecessary trouble. What a beautiful girl. I've never seen her in my entire life. This girl is a student of the Kanglan College. I advise you not to have any bad ideas, otherwise I'm afraid you won't even know how you died. There are many people in the crowd who had seen Bailey Hongzhuang before. Today, Bailey Hongzhuang and others made such a big noise in Longguang City. So many people noticed. Hearing this, the man was stunned. You said this girl is a student of the Kanglan College. Besides the students of the college, how many girls can have such a temperament? The person who spoke looked at the man with ridicule and continued to focus on his stall. The person who had the idea also gave up the idea. The cultivators of the Kanglan College were not ordinary people who could be provoked. Maybe he would accidentally poke a hornet's nest. He didn't want to die young. Not only this person, but the other people around also restrained their expressions after hearing this. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was also relieved. It seemed that this afternoon's disturbance had some benefits. Bailey Hongzhuang walked while looking at the items on the stall. Until she reached the exit of the stall, Bailey Hongzhuang still didn't see anything of interest. In this regard, she didn't feel disappointed. After all, most of the things in this trading market were used by ordinary cultivators. The real treasures had already been sold at a high price, so it was normal that they couldn't find them. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, her gaze fell upon a stall. In her line of sight, a black parchment scroll was casually placed on the stall. This parchment scroll looked very ordinary, but she could feel the fluctuations of spiritual power from it. Her spiritual power was outstanding among cultivators, and the fluctuation of this spiritual power was very small. If it wasn't for her sharp spiritual power, she wouldn't have noticed it at all. Bailey Hongzhuang stood in front of the stall and looked at the items on it. There were some herbs, demon crystals, and weapons, but Bailey Hongzhuang didn't lack these three things at the moment. Other than that, there were also some unknown small objects that were of no use. The parchment scroll was placed together with these small objects. Baisher's gaze landed on the demonic crystal. He had been drooling over the demonic crystal all the way here. Now his master finally stopped. "Girl, what do you want to buy?" The stall owner was a middle-aged man. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang stop in front of his stall, he couldn't help but ask. Chapter 656. Seeing Baisher's action, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. This little guy understood her mind. Bailey Hongzhuang picked Baisher up, and Baisher was still holding a demon crystal in his hand. It looked like he would not let it go even if he was beaten to death. After seeing Baisher's appearance, the stall owner also thought it was funny. "Miss, your demon pet is really interesting." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled helplessly. "It just likes these beautiful things." The stall owner nodded slightly. In his view, Baisher was a demon pet that was only for ornamental purposes. This kind of demon pet was very cute and also very fond of beautiful things. It was normal for Baisher to be unwilling to leave at this moment. "How much is this demon crystal?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked aloud. "This is the demon crystal of the rank 2 demon beast, demonic flame fox, 100 gold coins," the stall owner said. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. "I remembered that the demon crystal of the demonic flame fox is generally worth 90 gold coins. Your price is a bit expensive." Hearing this, the stall owner looked a little embarrassed. He did not think that this young girl would know the market so well. "Miss, this demonic flame fox is not easy to catch in our Qing dynasty. The demonic beast mountain is very far from here. The mercenaries also need to pay some hard work. Let go." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Baisher in her arms. However, Baisher was holding the demon crystal tightly and had no intention of letting go. The stall owner was also nervous. If this girl left like this, it would be a pity. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was helpless and said, "Stall owner, your demon crystal is really expensive. Why don't you add something else?" With the experience of her previous life, she knew very well that if you want to find treasures in the trading market, you must not directly ask the price of the thing you value. In this way, the stall owner would definitely raise the price. Otherwise, he would keep the thing and not be willing to sell it. After all, if you don't buy anything and go to buy such an inconspicuous thing, anyone would be suspicious. Therefore, her current approach was the safest way. "Miss, I'm running a small business." The stall owner pretended to be helpless, but he was secretly delighted. He casually pointed and said, "I can't take anything else, but you can choose 2 of these handicrafts." Bailey Hongzhuang laughed in her heart. It seemed that she had achieved her goal. After choosing a good-looking dagger, Bailey Hongzhuang picked up the parchment scroll and said, "I'll take these 2. "All right." The stall owner's face was full of smiles. He had made quite a profit from this transaction. The other 2 items that he had given away were not worth much at all. Thinking about it, this young lady had the temperament of a child. Even if she casually picked up a few small things, it would still be good. Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the market and patted Baisher's head. "You're really smart." She had been thinking of buying something else, but Baisher had already understood her thoughts. In this way, the stall owner would not be suspicious at all. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's praise, Baisher's face was full of pride. He excitedly rubbed against Bailey Hongzhuang's arms. "Of course, shameless fellow," Xiao He and Xiao Bai said. Baisher did not care at all. These 2 fellows were definitely sour grapes. Who asked him to be a demon pet that master could bring out? "It's getting late. It's time to go back." Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Chapter 657. Bailey Hongzhuang's dark eyes were filled with a dignified and vigilant light. Her intuition had always been very accurate, but she clearly felt a murderous intent. Master, someone has locked on to us. Xiaohei's face showed a dignified color. Previously, her master had always acted with the students of Kanglin College. Now it was her first time acting alone, and these people had appeared. It seemed that these people had been following them for a long time. There are 3 people on the other side, all of whom are in the Red Realm. It is impossible to judge their strength. Xiaobai analyzed, but her voice was inevitably heavy. Her master's strength was in the 2nd stage of the Red Realm. At her age, this strength was already very good, but in the face of this opponent, there was still a lot of pressure. Unless he and Xiaohei fought together, but there were so many people here. If he and Xiaohei fought together, they would be too eye-catching, and they would be completely exposed. There is still me. Baisher was dissatisfied. Xiaohei and Xiaobai dared to ignore his existence. Xiaohei and Xiaobai were stunned. They almost forgot that Baisher had just broken through a few days ago, and his strength was in the 5th stage of the Red Realm. This was a great help. Since you were already here, hide and come out, Bailey Hongzhuang said. It was late now, and the people on the street had almost all dispersed. Only a few people were packing up and preparing to go home. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. The other party had really chosen a good time to kill. With the voice of Bailey Hongzhuang falling, a man and 2 women appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. The 3 people were all dressed in black, and their faces were covered by veils. It was impossible to see their appearance. Your perception is sharp, a woman on the left said, but you still can't live through tonight. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes, as deep as an ancient well, flashed with a touch of coldness. Her face was indifferent and fearless, without the slightest bit of panic. Who sent you? Han Shilling? So far, there were only 2 people who could make Red Realm cultivators deal with her. Han Shilling and Jian. The conflict between Jian and her was not small. Even if she later detoxified Jian with Jian stingy temperament, she was afraid that she would not write off her previous resentment. As for Han Shilling, although she looked very noble on the surface, Bailey Hongzhuang could conclude that Han Shilling must be a ruthless person. It was normal to be unscrupulous in order to achieve one's goal. You don't need to know that, the man in the middle said coldly. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Since you're here to take my life, shouldn't you at least let me know who killed me? Our Heaven Slaughter Tower is only in charge of killing people. We don't care about anything else. The man's voice was low, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. With just one look, the 2 women beside him immediately understood and rushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Shirt Tian Tower? Bailey Hongzhuang heard this name for the first time. Looking at it, this should be an assassin's organization. The other party actually looked for people from the assassin's organization to deal with her, which was very similar to Han Shilling's style. Di Beichen had now returned to Tiangang's zone. Han Shilling naturally could not let his own people do it, but let the assassin's organization do it, which would undoubtedly allow her to get rid of all responsibility. As for Jian with her impulsive temperament, if she wanted to deal with her, she must let her own confidants do it. Looking for an assassin's organization. Chapter 658. The origin energy in the 2 women's bodies surged in an instant, and a powerful force burst out. The aura of the 3rd level of the Red Realm permeated the air. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed slightly. She was only at the 2nd level of the Red Realm, but she believed that even if she faced a cultivator at the 3rd level of the Red Realm, she would still be able to fight. However, she didn't know how strong the other man was, and that was what she was most worried about. Judging from the situation, the man's strength was obviously stronger than the 2 women. The reason why he did not make a move now was that he did not want to. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang thought, the man looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was alone, and his eyes were full of disdain. He really did not understand. According to the information they had received, Bailey Hongzhuang was only a cultivator at the 2nd level of the Red Realm. Why did the 3 of them have to attack together? However, the employer's attitude was very tough. He demanded that the three of them had to attack together and kill Bailey Hongzhuang. It was obvious that the employer really wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to die. However, the commission given by the other party was generous enough, and they had gotten a big bargain. Bailey Hongzhuang's mind moved, and the origin energy in her body surged. Her eyes were fixed on the two women. The two women obviously did not intend to waste time. Their bodies moved, and they directly pounced on Bailey Hongzhuang. The sky was full of fist shadows, covering the sky and covering the earth, shrouding Bailey Hongzhuang's vital parts. As assassins, they wanted to kill with one blow. Therefore, attacking the vital parts was the best way to end the battle. A touch of coldness appeared on the beautiful face. Bailey Hongzhuang's movements were not slow at all. Her origin energy quickly gathered between her palms, and she did not hesitate to meet the two female assassins. The two female assassins saw that Bailey Hongzhuang did not escape in such a situation. Instead, she was prepared to fight them head-on. A sneer appeared in their eyes. One idiot. Her cultivation was weaker than theirs, but she still wanted to fight them head-on. What was the difference between this and seeking death? Bang, bang, bang. Bailey Hongzhuang's fist quickly collided with the female assassin's fist. When their fists collided, elemental energy shot out. It could be seen that the power was terrifying. However, the moment they exchanged blows, a hint of shock appeared in the eyes of the two female assassins. It was reasonable to say that with the two of them attacking at the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang would only have a dead end. However, they were shocked to discover that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was extremely strong. Even after exchanging blows with the two of them, Bailey Hongzhuang was not injured at all. I didn't expect you to have some strength. The woman coldly snorted, the killing intent in her eyes surging. Even when the two of them joined hands, they were still blocked by Bailey Hongzhuang. This was a shame for them. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows, and her lips curled into a mocking smile. I don't just have a little bit of strength. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang did not waste any time. She suddenly took a step forward and actually took the initiative to attack one of the female assassins. The best situation for her now was to defeat them one by one. If she could kill one of the female assassins first, then the situation would be much better. Bang, bang. The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows. Tyrannical and unparalleled energy continuously shot out from their attacks. Chapter 659. Bailey Hongzhuang was not an ordinary cultivator at the second stage of the Red Realm. She was a peerless master in her previous life, and her rich combat experience was not something that ordinary cultivators could compare with. Even though her current strength was only at the second stage of the Red Realm, with her experience, she could exert her strength beyond her level. What's more, with the experience of her previous life, her foundation was extremely stable when she practiced in this life. In front of cultivators of the same strength, she was definitely the strongest. Bang! After another hard hit, the female assassin took a few steps back, and a look of horror appeared on her face. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was so strong that even she could not compare with her. You are only at the second stage of the Red Realm. How can you be so strong? The female assassin was surprised. Could it be that the information they received was wrong? Was Bailey Hongzhuang not at the second stage of the Red Realm at all, but was hiding her strength? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly, and her smile was enchanting and charming. Why should I tell you? For cultivators, strength was extremely important, especially when the gap between their strengths was not big, and strength was the foundation of a hard fight. Since Bailey Hongzhuang practiced under the waterfall to temper her body, she often used some potions to improve her physical strength. Even though she looked the same on the outside, her physical strength was far stronger than ordinary cultivators. Not only that, she also practiced the physical martial arts of the Bailey family in her previous life, the Jade Body. The physical martial arts were quite different from ordinary martial arts. It was completely used to temper the body. Once the Jade Body was cultivated to the advanced level, the body was comparable to Jade and indestructible. The Jade Body was divided into 3 levels. Now, she had only succeeded in cultivating the first level. As for the other two levels, it would take a long time to reach them. However, in her current situation, the first level of the jade body was enough to help her a lot. Hearing the ridicule in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the female assassin's face turned ugly. She was obviously stronger than her, but she could not do anything to her. The next moment, the two female assassins looked at each other and attacked Bailey Hongzhuang again. They were going to kill Bailey Hongzhuang and see if Bailey Hongzhuang could still be so arrogant. At this moment, the white lion was quietly standing at the other side, pretending to be adorable. It was as if it was just a demonic beast that had no attacking power and did not know that its master was in danger. His master had already told him that his master could handle the joint attack of the two female assassins, and his target was the male assassin. It only needed to pay attention to the male assassin's movements. It must not let the male assassin launch a sneak attack. White Lion's round eyes kept turning. His seemingly casual gaze was fixed on the male assassin. As long as this male assassin made the slightest movement, it would definitely pounce on him. Blazing fist. The two female assassins saw that Bailey Hongzhuang did not show any signs of defeat under their attacks, and their faces turned ugly. Immediately, they displayed their martial arts without hesitation. Two fists came flying towards Bailey Hongzhuang from the left and right, blocking all of Bailey Hongzhuang's escape routes. Chapter 660. When the male assassins saw that the two of them had actually unleashed their fiery fists, a smile surfaced in his eyes. It looked like this battle was about to end. Their mission had been completed. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes congealed. With a thought, she unleashed her form displacement shadow. Her figure was like a ghost, as she actually escaped from the encirclement that had no blind spots. The two female assassins never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would actually be able to break through such a blockade. By the time they realized it, it was already too late. Their fists had actually collided. Bang! The two fiery fists collided with a loud bang as a tyrannical strength chi burst forth. The two of them retreated a few steps as their faces turned pale. However, just as one of the female assassins retreated, Bailey Hongzhuang's attack had already appeared behind her. Storm break. Vigorous elemental energy burst forth from Bailey Hongzhuang's fist as it attacked the woman's back without any hesitation. When a male assassin who was watching from the side saw this scene, he hurriedly cried out, "Be careful." However, all of this happened in a split second. Even though the male assassin had already warned her, the female assassin was still unable to react in time. Bang! Stormbreak fiercely smashed into the female assassin's back. Under this ferocious attack, the female assassin's figure directly fell forward and landed heavily on the ground. At the same time, she spat out a mouthful of blood and her aura instantly withered. She had actually lost her life. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were slightly cold. She had seen the right opportunity to deliver this fatal blow. Under such a siege, she could not give her opponent any chance to breathe. Once she found an opportunity, she would definitely deliver a fatal blow. Her pitch-black phoenix eyes were indifferent and calm. She was not the slightest bit flustered by what was happening in front of her. The bright and clear moonlight shone on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. That cold white figure gave people a feeling of shock. Especially the faint smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips, it made people shudder. The expressions of the male and female assassins changed a bit. According to the information they had obtained, Bailey Hongzhuang was just a student who had just entered the college to study. Most of the students in the academy were young soldiers, and there weren't many who had killed before. However, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't nervous at all after killing someone. Instead, she seemed to be enjoying it. As killers, their hands were stained with a lot of blood, but they still remembered their panic and nervousness when they had just killed someone. And to be able to have this kind of reaction from Bailey Hongzhuang was really one in a million. According to the OP, a person who could achieve Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude was a natural-born killer. Now, they actually saw this kind of quality in a student of the academy. It was really too unbelievable. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't stop there. Instead, she continued to walk in front of the other female assassin. She wanted to end this quickly. For people who wanted to kill her, she didn't want to be lenient. Those who killed were killed. Feeling Bailey Hongzhuang's cold eyes, the female assassin's face also became heavy. Previously, the two of them together weren't Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. Now that she was alone, she naturally wasn't her opponent. You still haven't made your move. Chapter 661. Hearing this, the male assassin slowly walked out. At this moment, if he continued to be arrogant, it would be tantamount to courting death. Losing an opponent was already a shame. If he lost 2 teammates for a student at the 2nd level of the Red Realm, he would become a joke in the eyes of everyone when he returned to the Shurtian Tower. The small fight is over. Now you can die. The man's voice was cold, and his dark and gloomy eyes flashed with a strong killing intent. At the same time, a tyrannical fluctuation of Yuanli erupted from his body. He was at the 5th level of the Red Realm. The cultivation of the 5th level of the Red Realm was considered a good strength even among assassins. However, if he wanted to kill her with this strength, it was not enough. You are only at the 5th level of the Red Realm. How dare you threaten to kill me? You are overestimating yourself. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly raised, and a confident and determined smile bloomed on her lips. Bai Shi, who was on the side, had long been unable to hold back. Since the breakthrough, he had never made a move. Now, he finally had a chance to make a move. This annoying man was so arrogant that he wanted to bite off his neck. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the man could not help but be startled. Had Bailey Hongzhuang's mentor already arrived? However, the man looked around and found that there was no movement at all. He was also relieved. You are only at the 2nd level of the Red Realm. How dare you talk so big? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? The female assassin sneered. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly and chuckled. Since you are also 2 people, let's make it 2 against 2. As soon as these words came out, the male assassin and the female assassin could not help but look around. Did the mentor of the Kanglin College really appear? Although they boasted that their strength was good, compared with the mentor of the Kanglin College, they were indeed not opponents. A feeling of tension spread in the hearts of the two. Their eyes kept looking around. Once the mentor of the Kanglin College appeared, they would definitely leave immediately. However, there was no movement around them at all. You lied to me. The male assassin's face was livid. He was actually cheated by Bailey Hongzhuang's words. It was really shameful. How did I lie to you? Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Your teacher didn't come at all. The male killer gritted his teeth. This Bailey Hongzhuang was too confident, so he was deceived by her. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged. When did I tell you that my mentor is here? What's more, my school has 2 mentors. If they come, it will be 3 against 2. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head helplessly. With your IQ, how can you be an assassin? Being so stupid, it was a miracle that he could survive until now. Xiao He and Xiao Bai also chuckled. These 2 guys were really stupid. Originally, they were worried that this situation would not be easy to solve. Now that they had one, there was no need to worry. Naturally, they did not mind teasing the assassin for a moment. Then you said 2 against 2. Is there anyone else here besides you? The female assassin asked aloud. Bailey Hongzhuang's mockery made her angry, but as an assassin, she was still cautious and swallowed her anger. After all, if there was really someone else here, then they would be at a disadvantage. Chapter 662. With Bailey Hongzhuang's voice falling, the male and female assassins were both stunned, and then they couldn't help but laugh. Are you kidding? The male assassin held his belly and laughed. Just by it? Such a demon beast that hasn't even grown hair yet? The female assassin also couldn't help but laugh. Was this Bailey Hongzhuang stupid? This little spirit beast was afraid that it would not be able to withstand their attack. With a casual stab of the sword, this demon beast can't be any more dead. Bai Shi, these 2 guys are actually looking down on you. Xiao He said as if the world wasn't in chaos. Hurry up and show them some power. If the tiger doesn't show its power, they really think you're a sick cat. Xiao Bai also spoke out. They didn't like these 2 guys, but they couldn't make a move. They only hoped that Bai Shi could make a move and teach these guys a lesson. Bai Shi's eyes also flashed with a strong anger. He is a dignified beast king, and now he is being ridiculed by these 2 brainless guys? This is intolerable. Master, I'm going to kill them, Baisher said angrily. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes solidified on the two people in front of her and said, "You have angered my demon beast. You have to be prepared to bear its anger." Haha, what an idiot. The man laughed. He really couldn't imagine that the student of Kangling College was such an idiot. Do it. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't care about the man's ridicule, because soon he will know how stupid his ridicule is. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out the glass sword and attacked the female assassin without hesitation. The female assassin also responded with vigilance. Although this demon beast is useless at all, Bailey Hongzhuang's strength is not weak. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to attack the male assassin didn't put Baisher in his eyes at all. He picked up his weapon and also attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. However, it was this neglect that caused the tragedy of the male assassin. The male assassin only felt a white light flash by, and he couldn't help but have goosebumps. He only felt a strong sense of crisis from his heart, which was the crisis awareness that he had developed after being an assassin for many years. How could there be someone who could pose such a great threat to him here? Without waiting for the male assassin to react, Baisher had quickly rushed up, and his sharp teeth did not hesitate to bite the male assassin's neck. The male assassin only felt a sharp pain in his neck, and before he could react, his neck had been bitten off by Baisher. A second before death, the male assassin realized that it was the demon beast that he had never put in his eyes before. He still didn't understand. It was just a mere demon pet. How could it possibly bite his neck off? He was a cultivator at the 5th levels. His physical strength's defense was much stronger than ordinary people's assess in this regard. Baisher's assess, houses, how hard arse? Baisher, TS, it's not even the least. The male killer's little bit of defensive power was nothing in front of White Lion's teeth. The female assassin looked at this scene and was completely stunned. She couldn't believe that the male assassin died so easily. When she looked at Baisher again, her eyes had completely changed. What kind of demon beast is this? You just need to know that it's not an ordinary demon beast. Chapter 663. Bailey Hongzhuang calmly kept the Qinkuan bags of the 3 assassins. It looked like she had a bountiful harvest tonight. Clap, clap. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was collecting her spoils of war, a round of applause rang out behind her. Hearing the sound behind her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes quietly turned serious. She wondered who the other party was for them to appear at such a time. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang saw the appearance of the person who had come, she could not help but be stunned. The man was dressed in a soft black robe. His jet black hair flowed down in torrents. His handsome face was as if it had been carved out by God himself. Bailey Hongzhuang's deep, dark eyes were filled with a hint of a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately noticed this pair of eyes. His depth was different from D. Baichen's. D. Baichen's eyes were as deep as the ocean, broad and confident. However, this man's eyes were as deep as a black pupil. They were filled with a suffocating pressure and despair. "It's you?" Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the extremely handsome man in front of her. This was the second time they had met. This person was none other than Mo Yunjue, whom she had met once in the Luo Yun Mountains. "We meet again, Miss Bailey." Mo Yunjue smiled gently. His gaze, intentionally or otherwise, turned towards the row of houses on the left. Behind the row of houses, 2 men and 1 woman noticed Mo Yunjue's gaze and could not help but frown. Why would Mo Yunjue appear here? It looks like he has already discovered us. The woman's eyes were filled with a hint of coldness. "I'm afraid we won't be able to complete today's mission." Mo Yunjue's reputation is resounding. Although we have never exchanged blows with him, we have concealed ourselves so well. For Mo Yunjue to be able to discover us, he must be very powerful. Since we have already missed the opportunity, it's best that we leave as soon as possible. One of the men said. The other man nodded. I didn't expect these 3 good-for-nothings to be so useless. They wasted such a good opportunity. The 3 of them did not hesitate and quickly left. Assassins were like this. Since they had already been exposed, they could only look for another opportunity. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look towards the row of houses. She turned and said, "Thank you." "Oh." Mo Yunjue raised his brows. "I wonder what Miss Bailey is thanking me for? If you had not appeared here, I'm afraid that the group of assassins would not have left." Her delicate and beautiful face was filled with confidence and certainty. She had also noticed the faint fluctuations coming from the other side earlier. However, this fluctuation was extremely small, and even she could not be completely sure. But now she could be sure. With Han Shiling's temperament, once she made a move, it would be a fatal blow, and she would never give her a chance to live. If Bailey Hanjin her in her heart was in, as was in her, was in the Luan, was in's assassins, if they could not kill her, then the group of assassins behind her would appear. In this way, they would no longer lower their guard against White Lion. She believed that the 3 assassins were stronger than the previous 3 assassins. Judging from this, the assassins of Shurtian Tower seemed to be working together. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Mo Yunjue's eyes flashed with admiration. Chapter 664. Miss Bailey is really smart. It seems that the person who looked for Shurtian Tower to kill you will be disappointed. Mo Yunjue's lips curled into a smile. This Beast King seems to have made a lot of progress in your hands. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, her attitude indifferent. It has already broken through once. She had an indescribable feeling towards Mo Yunjue. When they were in the Luoyuan Mountains, they just made a deal. She always felt that Mo Yunjue was a person with a story, and this story may be very heavy. Last time, it was a tie between them, but this time, Mo Yunjue had clearly helped her once, so she owed Mo Yunjue a favor. "Isn't Miss Bailey in the Luoyuan Mountains? Why are you in the Qing dynasty?" Mo Yunjue seemed to feel the warm attitude of Bailey Hongzhuang and took the lead to start the topic. In fact, he was a cold person by nature and never had the desire to converse with others. Only Bailey Hongzhuang was an accident. When he first saw Bailey Hongzhuang, he felt that this woman was different. At that time, his injury was very serious. He thought that he would not survive that time, but this woman actually helped him detoxify the poison. Therefore, now that he saw Bailey Hongzhuang again, he was also a little interested. "I'm going to Lingyin College." Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. "Why are you here?" "I'm a businessman. Naturally, I will go wherever there is business." "You are a businessman?" Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. Mo Yunjue's appearance, no matter how she looked at it, he didn't look like a businessman. Mo Yunjue smiled. "A businessman does not have to grow up to be a businessman. I am very glad that I am not stained with the smell of money." However, his business was slightly different from that of ordinary people. Bailey Hongzhuang looked deeply at Mo Yunjue. Mo Yunjue didn't look like he was lying. In fact, she had only met Mo Yunjue twice. There was no need for Mo Yunjue to deceive her. "You don't look like a businessman, but it's good to do business." Bailey Hongzhuang pondered. Last time, Mo Yunjue had been seriously injured at the Falling Cloud mountain range. To be able to escape from the clutches of the cloud-devouring python, it was clear that Mo Yunjue was extremely powerful. This businessman shouldn't be a simple businessman. "Miss Bailey saved my life last time, and I've always been grateful. If you're free next time, why don't I treat you to a meal?" Mo Yunjue's voice was gentle. His eyes, which were as deep as a black hole, were completely dark. It was impossible to see his emotions. "You've already saved me this time. Speaking of which, I owe you a favor." She had never liked to take advantage of others. If Mo Yunjue had not appeared to help her tonight, her current situation would have been very bad. Mo Yunjue waved his hand. "If Miss Bailey had not saved me last time, I would not have appeared this time. So, I still owe you a favor." Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. This Mo Yunjue's words are going to make her dizzy. "Do as you please." Bailey Hongzhuang was helpless. If we have the chance to meet again in the future, they had only met by chance. To be able to meet again was already very miraculous. The chances of meeting again in the future would be even smaller. Chapter 665. There was a trace of surprise in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes as if she did not understand why Mo Yunjue was so confident. However, she had never had any conflict with Mo Yunjue. On the contrary, both of them had helped each other before, so they could be considered friends. Until we meet again. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand and turned around to head back to the guest house. It was getting late, and she could not be sure how many men Han Shieling had sent to deal with her. The earlier she got back, the less trouble she would have to deal with. Mo Yunjue stared at Bailey Hongzhuang's back as she gradually disappeared into the distance. The corners of his lips curled into an indifferent smile, but his eyes flashed with a sense of absolute certainty. Then, Mo Yunjue's eyes fell upon the 3 corpses on the ground. An icy light flashed in his deep, black eyes. With a wave of his hand, he put the 3 corpses away. Aside from some fresh blood on the ground, there was nothing else. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her room, and her clear eyes were filled with a thoughtful light. Master, I have the feeling that Mo Yunjue is not as simple as he seems. Xiao He slowly spoke. Bai Shi's appearance was so horrible that many people would not have been able to identify him. However, Mo Yunjue was able to recognize him at one glance. Clearly, he has a lot of experience. Bailey Hongzhuang gently nodded. I have a feeling that I cannot see through Mo Yunjue as well. She felt that Mo Yunjue had concealed himself very well. It was a kind of shadow that came from the depths of his heart. Perhaps it was because of his personality, but she could not judge Mo Yunjue as a bad person just because of that. Some people just hide their abilities well. Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a moment and shrugged her shoulders. Everyone has their own story, so why should she delve into it? Just like her, everyone was curious as to how she had turned from a good-for-nothing young lady to what she was now. Wasn't she still hiding her identity? Upon hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao He and Xiao Bai nodded. What their master said made sense. However, that Han Shieling is really despicable. Xiao He's face was filled with rage. This woman usually pretended to be high and mighty, but in private, she was extremely vicious. She actually hired an assassin to kill her master. A woman like her, we should tear off her disguise next time. How disgusting. Xiao Bai said. White Lion nodded. It was equally disgusted by this woman. A cold glint flashed through Bailey Hongzhuang's ink-black phoenix eyes. She didn't have a good impression of Han Shieling either. In this world, there were 2 types of arrogant women. The first type was truly arrogant. They were arrogant openly. This type of person would never use underhanded methods to deal with their opponents. This was because this type of person wanted to defeat their opponents fair and square. Otherwise, it would be a disrespect to themselves. The other type was fake arrogance. They would use unscrupulous methods to achieve their arrogance. They would use their arrogant image to face the world. They would act high and mighty like a white swan. However, their hearts were extremely filthy. All of their underhanded methods were to better disguise their arrogance. Clearly, this Han Shieling belonged to the second type. Everything that she has done now, I will definitely return it all to her in the future. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was filled with an indescribable stubbornness. She would never let any of her opponents off. Since Han Shieling had already made a move against her, she naturally wouldn't hold back against Han Shieling. However, Han Shieling's status was now higher than hers. Han Shieling could make a move against her, but she couldn't find Han Shieling. Chapter 666. Sect disciples had always been impressive figures. Furthermore, Han Shieling was the granddaughter of the Tiangang sect's great elder. From the moment she was born, she was filled with a sense of superiority. Furthermore, she had grown to where she was today with the help of countless cultivation resources. However, in Bailey Hongzhuang's opinion, a few grassroots cultivators were often even more impressive. This was because the things they carried on their backs were their motivation to move forward. This was because they had no way out. It was because of this that many famous experts in the Shangxian continent were born from grassroots backgrounds. Such cultivators were often even more terrifying, and their beliefs were even more resolute. In her previous life, when Bailey Hongzhuang was the head of an aristocratic family, she had seen many such cultivators. Now that her identity had changed, she did not feel that it had anything to do with it. As long as one was powerful enough, they could create any background with their own hands. Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Baisher had already understood when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze. There was no need for them to say anything more. Master and Han Shilling were destined to be enemies. When Di Beichen returned, they could directly tell Di Beichen that the good junior sister in his eyes was, in fact, a sinister and ugly woman. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly calmed her emotions and took out the parchment scroll that she had found in the marketplace. Looking at the black parchment scroll in front of her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. She only felt that this parchment scroll could faintly emit energy waves and was rather mysterious. However, she could not be sure that it was definitely a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly opened the parchment scroll, only to find that there was only a simple landscape painting on it. Master, is this just a landscape painting? Baisher's meaty little paw pointed at the landscape painting on the parchment scroll and asked. Bailey Hongzhuang carefully looked at it, only to find that there was nothing else on the parchment scroll other than the landscape painting on it. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly, and her clear eyes were filled with a hint of contemplation. Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a little puzzled. Logically speaking, this should not be just a landscape painting. If it's just an ordinary landscape painting, how can I feel the fluctuation of mental power on it? As soon as she finished speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang carefully sensed the landscape painting, only to find that the spiritual fluctuations she had felt before had disappeared. Master, I've heard that some vendors would purposely add a little bit of soul energy to some useless items so that the buyers would think that the items are amazing and buy them back at a high price, Xiao He said. As the saying goes, virtue is 1 foot tall, the devil is 10 feet tall. Those who did business were all shrewd people and would never be willing to suffer a loss. Xiao Bai shook her head. It's definitely not the stall owner. If he did it on purpose, he wouldn't have sold the parchment scroll at such a low price. Earlier, I did feel a spiritual fluctuation from the parchment scroll. Xiao Bai had a puzzled look on her face. Where did the problem lie? Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the parchment scroll. She had a feeling that this parchment scroll was not as simple as a landscape painting. Moreover, who would draw a landscape painting on a palm-sized parchment scroll? Chapter 667. Could it be there's a problem with this parchment scroll? A light of deep thought flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. In the past, when she had been following the elders of her family, she had heard that some people would seal up the real treasures and use other methods to conceal them. This way, many people would miss out on this treasure. Only those who understand this method would be able to unlock it. Bailey Hongzhuang carefully rubbed the parchment scroll with her fingertips as her mind continued to think of possible methods. Suddenly, a determined light flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. No matter what, she should give it a try. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took the candle flame. When they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, a look of astonishment appeared in the eyes of the 3 beasts. They quickly asked, Master, what are you doing? Since I don't know if this parchment scroll is of any use, why don't I try another method? If it succeeds, that would be for the best. If it doesn't, then so be it. Otherwise, there's no point in keeping it in my hands. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was calm. She knows that her method of burning it with fire was a little risky. However, how would she know the results if she didn't try? If it really fails, then it doesn't matter. Hearing this, the 3 beasts thought for a moment before nodding. Their master's words were very reasonable, and they had no reason to object. Bailey Hongzhuang placed the parchment scroll above the candle flame. The scorching heat instantly enveloped the parchment scroll. The parchment scroll immediately curled up onto the heat. However, Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that the parchment scroll had split into 3 layers. The first and second layers were ordinary parchment scrolls. The originally well-drawn landscape painting had now turned into nothingness. However, a thin piece of paper had appeared in the middle of the 2 layers of parchment scrolls. It's a success, a success. Xiao He could not help but cry out excitedly. This feeling was as if she had found treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a smile. It seems that her judgment had been correct. When she rubbed the parchment earlier, she only felt that the parchment was slightly thicker, but it didn't make much of a difference. He didn't expect it to be made up of 2 layers of parchment. It seemed like the person who made this parchment must have put in a lot of effort. Just thinning the parchment was already very difficult, and he had to perfectly fuse them together. Although she had not yet seen what was written in the middle of the paper, Bailey Hongzhuang was already able to determine that it was not simple. After the parchment was completely burned, Bailey Hongzhuang placed the piece of parchment in the middle on the table. Bailey Hongzhuang was able to see the contents clearly after the burning red gradually disappeared. This is a map. After seeing the content drawn on it, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask, "Master, this should be a map." Xiao He nodded in agreement. "It's just that this map has a start and no end." Bailey Hongzhuang carefully looked at the mountains and rivers drawn on the paper, as well as the red route. Impressively, it was a map. It was just that the starting point was drawn on the map, but she didn't know where the end point was. Looking at the mountains and rivers at the edge, Bailey Hongzhuang was sure that this was not a complete map. Chapter 668. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, a look of disappointment flashed across the faces of the 3 beasts. "I thought it would be some sort of treasure map. What is this thing that has no beginning and no end?" Xiao He pursed her lips. "Even if this really is a treasure map, it'll be very difficult for us to find the other parts." It knew that this piece of paper had been kept in such a secretive manner that its contents were definitely not simple. Otherwise, the other party would not have spent so much effort to preserve it. However, it was a coincidence that they had managed to obtain this map. The Shangxian continent was so big, who knew where the other parts had ended up? They did not even know if they would be able to see a second map in their lifetime. Bailey Hongzhuang stroked Xiao He's head. This little fellow was very impatient. "Anyways, this thing isn't bad in my hands. It's not like I've gone through untold hardships to obtain it. It'll be best if we can find the other parts in the future. If we can't, we'll just treat this as a game." In this regard, Bailey Hongzhuang was very open-minded. This kind of thing was something that could only be discovered by chance and not by searching for it. It was already very good that she had managed to obtain a part of it. Furthermore, this at least proved that her previous judgment was not wrong. There really was something else in this parchment scroll. Early the next morning, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest gathered outside the inn. A day's rest was enough to lift their spirits. Now it was time to continue on their journey. Bailey Hongzhuang returned the inn to the innkeeper. However, the innkeeper returned the purple coins to Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look astonished. "Innkeeper, what are you doing?" The innkeeper smiled. "Miss, you've given me so much money. Not to mention buying this inn for 1 day. It's enough to buy a few inns. How can I accept your money?" Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. "Since I've said it, I naturally have to do it. Please accept it." "Miss, I know that you had no choice but to do what you did yesterday. I also want to thank you for helping me out. I absolutely cannot accept this money." The shopkeeper's attitude was very firm. He had been doing business for so many years and had never taken advantage of customers. Now, he couldn't take advantage of a little girl. "If Miss is unwilling to accept it, then I can only give up on this inn. I am very attached to this inn." When everyone saw that the shopkeeper was actually so simple, a hint of surprise appeared in their eyes. Profiteers, profiteers, all profiteers are profiteers. Who would have thought that this shopkeeper would do the exact opposite? Suddenly, everyone had a good impression of the shopkeeper. In today's world, it was rare to see someone as nice as the shopkeeper. "Hongzhuang, since the shopkeeper has said so, you should accept it," Xia Jiqing said. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked deeply at the shopkeeper and said, "All right, then thank you very much." The shopkeeper waved his hand again and again. "You're welcome. This is what I should do. Please take care." Bailey Hongzhuang and the others set off again and left Longguang City. When the shopkeeper returned to the counter, he found that there was an extra purple coin on the counter. Seeing this, the shopkeeper also laughed, but in his heart, he had a better impression of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Such talents will definitely become great in the future. Chapter 669. When enemies meet, it is natural to be jealous. Lu Jingqi's eyes were wide open, as if she wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Yesterday, She had been defeated twice by Bailey Hongzhuang, and she was already very upset. She did not think that the mentor would scold them for this matter, which really made her feel wronged. If she could, she really wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Jiqing, but she did not have enough confidence in her own strength, so she could only swallow her anger. Lu Jinglin and the others also snorted coldly after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. The hatred in their eyes was obvious. However, the mentor had already warned them yesterday that they could not have any more conflicts. If they really wanted to compete, they would have to wait until they went to Lingyin College. For the mentor's words, they could only listen. They could only suppress the anger in their hearts and wait for the day to explode. Xia Jiqing was surprised to see that Lu Jingqi did not take the initiative to fly into a rage when she saw her today. However, looking at the other party's appearance, she felt a burst of joy. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked indifferently at the cultivators of Beihai College and turned towards Lingyin College. In fact, from the beginning to the end, it was the cultivators of Beihai College who were looking for trouble with them. They were not the kind of people who liked to stir up trouble. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others left, the cultivators of Beihai College changed to another team. Otherwise, if they often met Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, they would not be able to swallow their anger. The cultivators of Beihai College saw us and took a detour. It's really strange. Xia Jiqing sighed. This is not in line with their style. Dongfang Yu's peach blossom eyes blinked slightly. He smiled and said, they suddenly changed their temperament today. In all likelihood, they were reprimanded by the mentors. Although they could not see the mentors, they all knew that the mentors were near them. Everything that happened yesterday must have fallen into the eyes of the mentors of Beihai College. If the confrontation between the students was like this, then the confrontation between the mentors would be even more intense. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes lit up. You are right. It must be like this. Even though they had only met twice, they were very clear about Lu Jingqi's character. If it were any other time, they would definitely not take a detour like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. We'll meet again sooner or later. Let's go. Half a month later, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. The Qing dynasty was indeed a big country. Just the wide streets and magnificent buildings were proof of their heritage. Walking on the streets of the Qing dynasty, there was an endless stream of people and carriages. It was more lively than any city they had seen before. All kinds of rare things that had never been seen before appeared here. Even Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but have a look of amazement in their eyes. Wow, the imperial city of the Qing dynasty is really prosperous. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with excitement, her eyes constantly looking at both sides of the street. It was really spectacular. Lingyin College is actually located in the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. Zhang Yunfeng found it incredible that Lingyin College was located in such a prosperous place. It was completely different from what she had imagined. Although Songlan City was bustling with activity, it paled in comparison to this place. Chapter 670. Lingyin College was originally located in Lingyin City, located at the border of the Qing dynasty. But after Lingyin College joined the Qing dynasty, it moved to the imperial city. Now, the princes and princesses of the Qing dynasty are studying in Lingyin College, and it has become a royal college. Gong Xiaoqing slowly explained. Hearing this, everyone understood. They did not expect the relationship between Lingyin College and the Qing dynasty to be so close. No wonder Lingyin College won twice in the college tournament. With the financial support of the Qing dynasty, their resources are more abundant. Cui Haoyan said. Gong Xiaoqing waved his hand. As a result, it has lost the original intention of establishing the college. It will serve the royal family, and there will be many restrictions on the students. I heard that in Lingyin College, the children of the royal family are the most sought after. The children of the royal family and officials can enter to practice, and the requirements are very low. For the cultivators who are born in the grass, the conditions are extremely harsh. It is precisely because of this that many cultivators want to come to Kanglin College. Even if the conditions may be slightly worse than Lingyin College, at least they do not have to be ridiculed by those arrogant guys. Dong Fangyu spread his hands. When Lingyin College became a vassal of the Qing dynasty, this situation was expected. Every principal has different ideas, but the principal of Lingyin College is forcing us to follow their way. It is too much. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was calm. For this kind of choice, she never said who was wrong. It was just that it was wrong to force their own ideas on others. Everyone nodded. This was what they were most annoyed about. While everyone was talking, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo had appeared in front of everyone, but Huan Chuyu was not there. The vice principal went to see his friends in the Qing dynasty. We will take you to Lingyin College first. Lu Huayan laughed aloud. Along the way, these students did not lose face for their college. Everyone's faces also showed a smile. They were also curious about Lingyin College. Under the leadership of Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo, everyone slowly walked towards Lingyin College. On both sides of the street, many people's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. After all, such a group of energetic young cultivators gathered together would always be exceptionally eye-catching. I heard that the tournament between the three academies is about to begin. This group of young cultivators should be from one of the other two academies. It should be. I have seen many students of Lingyin College, but I have never seen these people before. I don't know about the rest, but the students of this academy are really good-looking. However, Lingyin College is always the strongest. Lingyin College has won twice in a row. If we win again this time, we will have won 3 times in a row. Everyone laughed and talked. They had always been very optimistic about Lingyin College. It seems that Lingyin College has a good reputation in the Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Lingyin College has also produced many excellent cultivators, and the royal family of the Qing dynasty has such a high position in the Qing dynasty. Lu Huayan explained. Chapter 671. As Lu Huayan's voice fell, everyone looked at each other. It seemed that the situation was really the same as what they had imagined. Lu Huayan, who had always been generous, had said such words at this moment. It could be seen that when they arrived at Lingyin College, they would be provoked and ridiculed by the other side. The children of the royal family had always been arrogant, not to mention that Kanglin College had already lost twice in a row. Almost everyone was not optimistic that Kanglin College would win this time. Under the leadership of Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at Lingyin College. The white gate was thick and magnificent, and the gold-plated words were shining under the sun. Just from this, it could be seen that Lingyin College was rich. This Lingyin College is really extraordinary after joining the Qing dynasty. Just this gate is carved and painted. It can't be more exquisite. Cui Haoyan said with a smile. Just looking at the gate, he knew that everything in Lingyin College must have been piled up with money. In comparison, Kanglin College was indeed much more simple. Everyone had different feelings in their hearts as they turned and walked into the college. However, just as they were about to enter the small gate, the guard at the gate stopped them. Who are you? If you're not a student of this college, you are not allowed to enter. We are from Kanglin College and are here to participate in the college tournament. Fu Hongbo said. As his voice fell, Fu Hongbo was ready to walk into Lingyin College. However, the guard still blocked his figure. How'd I know if you are from Kanglin College? The guard sneered with a bit of ridicule and contempt. Fu Hongbo frowned slightly. So, how do you confirm our identity? Take out your identity certificate, the guard said. Now, any cat or dog wants to enter our Lingyin College. They don't even know if they are worthy. Hearing the meaning of the guard's words, everyone's face became ugly. The guard was clearly saying that they were not worthy of entering Lingyin College. Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan looked at each other. Although there was a bit of anger in their hearts, they did not attack on the spot. Identity certificate? What kind of identity certificate? Lu Huayan's eyes flashed with doubt. Before coming to Lingyin College, no one had told them that they needed an ID. The last time he came to Lingyin College, there was clearly no such thing. Could it be that Lingyin College had changed in the past 3 years? It is proof that you are from the Azure Water School. The guard chuckled, obviously not intending to give Lu Huayan an answer at all. Then you go and inform the principal. He knows us, so he can certainly prove our identity. Fu Hongbo suppressed his anger. He didn't think that the guard would sneer at Fu Hongbo. With just you? What qualifications do you have to meet the headmaster? The headmaster is usually very busy. If everyone wants to see the headmaster, then wouldn't the headmaster be busy to death? If you don't have proof of identity, then go away. Don't stand here blocking the gate of the college and damage the image of Lingyin College. The guard's snobbish appearance had successfully angered Dongfang Yu and the others. A mere guard dares to be so arrogant. This is intolerable,